Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Over the middle, he has Ebner in for a touchdown.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
ACOT. Too strong. Gillespie on the offensive glass. Slips underneath Manning. They got it done.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
That was picked off, and it's a pick six by Jalen Petrie.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Good afternoon. Here we go. SicEm365 Radio. Excited about today's lineup. We hope to be excited all of the time. Craig Smoak to my right, Paul Catalina to my left, depending on where you are. Paul Catalina is to your right, Craig to my left, to your left, and I'm right smack in the middle. Jack McKenzie and Armstrong Sims run the mothership. We have great sponsors of this show as we continue heading towards show number 200 on Friday. That was Armstrong Sims with the drop there. Baylor's offensive coordinator Jeff Grimes is going to join us today at 5:30 after some Zoom meetings, coaches meetings throughout the day. Also today I saw Colt Barber had this. I think Grayson did as well. Did you guys notice that the Baylor offered an elite, big-time, high-ranking tight end up in Aledo? They're playing for a state championship on Friday. And I got a feeling that Jeff Grimes might have been smack in the middle of all that.
Well, considering the kid tweeted that he just got off the phone with Jeff Grimes, I think you're right.
I had not seen that, but it's good to see offers that are going out from this new staff. And the tight end's a spot that, quite frankly, Baylor hasn't taken real advantage of. Jordan Ivor years ago was a guy who would catch a pass for you every now and again, but that's mostly been a blocking position. I think we talked about it last week that, S11, Sam Bradshaw could break it down a lot better, but it didn't seem like their tight ends were used as much as blockers last year. And, you had a couple of moments early on in the season with Ben Sims making some plays, but then, he was out for an extended period of time and just kind of disappeared. Drake Dabney grabbed a couple balls for you, but then he kind of went away for the last couple of games. So, that tight end spot needs some revamping. They've got some players, but a lot of it's unproven or just hasn't really meshed together or had the opportunity to mesh together. I'm glad that they're addressing that spot by throwing some offers out.
So that happened earlier today. We'll hear from Jeff Grimes today at around 5:30. Also, Freddie Gillespie. He had to work out or try out, was at training camp with the Mavericks. He has been hard to get a hold of. He's working out in Minnesota. He was drafted by Memphis, the Hustle, a couple of days ago. All of a sudden, late last night, I get a text from him. Hey, Smokey, and so he'll join us today. He's one of our favorites over the years. He'll join us today at 4. Craig Way, voice of the Longhorns, on yesterday's Steve Sarkisian press conference. He also sat down, I think, and did an interview with Sarkisian. High school football, Gary Joseph, Katy High School coach, one of the legends. This is their 15th state championship appearance, Cedar Hill on Saturday afternoon at AT&T Stadium. John Machota on Dan Quinn being official. And speaking of that, also Parrish Cox from University High. Paul, you covered him, but this is about Parrish Cox. For 1 year was in Seattle. He got dropped by the Seahawks a couple of times that year, but he did play for Dan Quinn. And when I called him, Paul, you got me the number. When I called him, he did not know that. And he's going to give us some, maybe his opinion about Dan Quinn the year he was with the Seahawks.
Oh, he didn't know that Dan Quinn had gotten the job?
No, okay. He did not. No, he did not. So, and his son, Parrish Cox III, was a part of Connolly's football team this year. He was out early in the year, but obviously a heck of a player. Made some plays on offense and obviously very good on the defensive side of the ball as well. Also today, I sent a text to Bob Stoll. We had him on last week in this Is Your Life with Jeff Grimes. I sent him a text. I said, would you send me just a 10, 15-second clip welcoming Jeff Grimes or congratulating him on the job at Baylor, and then also wishing him, say whatever you want, 15, 20, 35 seconds. He said that to me. Grimes doesn't know because he's in Zoom meetings all day. We'll have that as well today. Just a quick little note. That's the coach at UTEP that, of course, when they recruited Jeff Grimes out of Lakeview Centennial High School. Playoffs, of course, in the NFL Week 2. High school playoffs, all of it is over by the end of the week. And then I mentioned the Baylor offer to the tight end. How about Oklahoma State beating Kansas? This is now legitimately something we've never seen in forever. They've lose a game early, might even lose a couple, and then last year they lost early. Baylor hammered them at home, and then what'd they do? They won 17 straight. So this is Ashley Hodge, our very own Ashley Hodge. When was the last time a team had fouls to give against Kansas at the end of the game? Because there's always the conspiracy that they always get the calls.
Last night at the end of that game, I mean, watching it, I saw, I turned it on late because I completely forgot I was over at my sister's house in the non-sports household. And so I come home and I turn it on late, and then I see that it's right towards the end. Oklahoma State just fouls a guy he was about to shoot a three, and I thought, well, that was dumb. And then because my brain hadn't thought to look at the score or look at the screen, and it's like, yeah, they've got a couple fouls to give. They should just foul for the rest of this time.
Yeah, that was a big win for Oklahoma State. You know, they nearly blew it, and we've seen teams do that, collapse, crater against Kansas after having a big lead, and Oklahoma State had a nice lead, managed to fend off the comeback ultimately, but yeah, Kansas is a wounded animal this year in the Big 12. I mean, they've already taken more licks than they typically do in 2-3 years. They've taken it in like the first month, of regular Big 12 play. So Baylor will have a couple of opportunities. That's the thing about Kansas. You've already dropped a couple games, and you haven't even played Baylor yet, So it's like they got to be careful. They're not in danger of missing the tournament at this point, but still, they're not in the position where they're normally accustomed to sitting, for sure.
So, yeah, they've lost 3 times. They've lost 3 times. And, Texas, Jason King told us this yesterday, Texas already has wins in Lawrence and then Morgantown. And so the Big 12, this is just, it used to be, you might get Kansas 3 times in an entire year. I'd like to know what their worst record in the conference was or has been winning the conference. Maybe, 13-5? Maybe?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's something to have to look up.
Maybe I'm missing something. What, a year there was a sledgehammer, which it always is, and maybe they lost 5 or 6 games. I don't know. But they've lost 3 times, right, Paul? Mm-hmm. 3 times.
Yeah, one of those was against Gonzaga. But, yeah, they lost 3 times. So
it's Kansas.
It's still, yeah.
It's similar now. Again, we also said when Oklahoma lost those 2 games that are early on to Kansas State and Iowa State, they're done because that was something never seen before. They just kept chopping the wood or whatever you want to say. And the next thing you know, guess who won another Big 12 football championship? It was Oklahoma.
Yeah, and, I think anybody who's ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater with Kansas is crazy because, again, they, who knows who's going to, and look, I know that there's a lot of stress with their fans and things about because the NCAA might be coming down to them. They had probably their worst recruiting class that they've had in a long time because that is hanging over their head, and this could be the last year and they're in the tournament for a year or 2 and all that. But who knows of these guys that Bill Self has in his roster, who's going to find his way to being exactly the basketball player that Bill Self wants him to be quickly, because it's happened before.
Well, go ahead.
Kansas lost 6 games 2 years ago in Big 12 play.
Okay.
So there you go. And Kansas State, Texas Tech had 4 losses apiece. They finished on top in the 2018-19 season, and Kansas was 12-6. Baylor was 10-8. So I mean, they've gotten a third of the way into that already, but it's not unprecedented.
Yeah, and I was trying to think of the last time they had multiple 5, 6 or so losses and actually won the conference. But you're right. I remember that. That was a big deal. With Chris Beard, that was the year, was it the year they made the run and then lost in that game? Was it a Final Four loss?
It was a national championship
game. National championship game with what Texas Tech did and also Frank Beard. That's who Baylor plays next. That's who they play next. They play Texas Tech on the road on Saturday. All right, so Jeff Grimes today at 5:30. If you have a question for him, and a lot of you have already on the board mentioned, hey, can you ask him this or can you ask him this? And we have our own questions. If there's something in particular that you'd like to know, and we can get to it and we try, then text us at 254-339-1122. There are going to be some questions that you want us to ask that we're not going to ask. It's not because they're bad questions. It's going to be based on time and how the time with him goes. And but if you have something you'd like to know, we'll try to, maybe even something we're going to ask him already. We would love for you to put that up there on the text line, 254-339-1122. It seems like and you would think that if we could even get Andy Reid on the show, which we can't, but if we did, or if we got Dirk Cutter on the show, which we've tried, or if we get, who's another one, Gene Chizik. These guys are all going to say nice things about Jeff Grimes. Mm-hmm. But they've all kind of been the same. That, one, he's a really good person, and it fits what Baylor wants, needs, and what they expect. And then number 2, he's a hell of a football coach. And and we've heard that from his offensive line coach in high school all the way up to Frank Beamer. But that's not something you would expect. It's like one of them's not going to go, man, he sucks, right?
I mean, I don't think we'd have a guy on that was going to come on and tell us the new Baylor O-line coach sucks.
Well, we wouldn't know that because I didn't know what Ken Hatfield. We just but it's been pretty positive from start to finish. Think about his resume, though, the names of who we've talked to, who we've spoken to, and how they all have their different opinions on him in a way that are different positive opinions about who he is. And so I can't wait to talk to him today at 5:30.
Yeah, I mean, we've gotten all sorts of opinions on Jeff Grimes at this point, so good that we'll get to talk to him. Yeah, I mean, I look forward to what he has to say. I mean, we've heard pretty much everything from everybody at this point, so yeah, that'll be good coming up here in a couple hours.
So the tight ends were Sims and Dabney, right, Craig, last year?
They were a couple of them, yeah.
Those were the ones that seemed like they were more involved in the passing game. Cole Barber put up a note about the tight ends at Baylor at Brigham Young, under Jeff Grimes. The tight ends the last 2 or 3 years at Brigham Young have caught 171 passes. Iowa State knows how to use the tight end, don't they?
Yes.
Very well.
They had 3 very good ones this year. And one Kohler, who's, I think, a stud.
He's coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So wouldn't that make sense that if you, even last year, if they tried to throw the ball as much as they could? Of course, Sims was in and out. Dabney was a true freshman. I believe he was a true freshman.
Yeah, Dabney was a true freshman.
But last year, when they struggled mightily to do anything, you would have thought that would have been a year you could have thrown the ball 50 times to your tight end.
Yeah, maybe. By the way, breaking news, James Harden is now headed to the Brooklyn Nets.
Good.
So
if you're Houston, you ought to be thrilled.
That's now official that James Harden will be joining the Brooklyn Nets. So the drama in Houston's over after Boogie Cousins lit him up with some comments about, the locker room, just the way that it is, following Harden's comments of, the Houston locker room, we're not very good, all that stuff. I mean, I'm not a James Harden fan in any way. I think the way that he's handled all this is just the prototypical NBA spoiled child superstar treatment, and I don't like it. I've never been a fan of the way that, some of these guys are treated, and, maybe some of it's the media being anti-Harden and to an extent or whatever, but I just don't like the guy. But, NBA fans, hey, this is big news that he'll be heading to the Brooklyn Nets. But to your point about the tight ends, I mean, yeah, you think that they would throw to the tight ends. You think they would have done a lot of things last year, but they didn't, ever. They very rarely got any sort of a rhythm. They very rarely had any sort of an identity. They very rarely had 3 plays in a row that were positive. They very rarely could pick up a first down with regularity. I mean, they couldn't do anything really all that well. So when you barely have time to throw a 2-second pass to a wide receiver, I don't know how open your tight ends are getting. I mean, that's the other thing. You could think that you can maybe throw it to them and dump it off, but are they even open? Like, are they being asked to block during those plays? So are they even an option on the plays? They are options. Are they able to get the football? I mean, I know we saw Dabney a couple times and Sims early on, but after Sims got hurt or whatever, and Dabney had his initial explosion, he was a complete non-factor. So, yeah, there's a lot. I mean, we talked about the Baylor tight end room every year with Bryles, so it's not like anything's really changed all that much, and we got some dose of glory while Rule's here. We saw them throw a little bit more to the tight end, but it was a very young and inexperienced, Christoph Henley mostly, and most of what they were doing was blocking. So
because they had to.
Yeah, so I think the point you're trying to get to is, could they be a factor in the offense as weapons? And, yeah, certainly they could be. They haven't been up until this point, but that's what you would like to see, yeah, especially when you, are trying to squeeze everything you can out of this offense.
171 catches. At Brigham Young, the tight ends caught 171 passes for 2,375 yards and 23 touchdowns under Jeff Grimes.
Yeah, I'll say this. Art Bryles used the tight end as kind of a glorified pick play. I mean, kind of the low, like
it was an offensive tackle.
I mean, yeah, he like a lot of the things they did. Like Jordan Iver was very brilliant in the way that he did a lot of his things. They used Jordan Iver to essentially, to the letter of the law, a lot of times illegally blocked downfield just because of the way that they ran him out there. But they were so sly with it, and it all happened so fast, it was really tough to call. And then just do a lot of different things. He was kind of just a jackknife of different things, or Swiss Army knife of all the different things he could do.
They were mostly guys. Mock was a little more athletic. Remember him?
Yeah, Monk, yeah.
But most of the time, They were hammers.
But yeah, so they were hammers. And then Matt Rule, I think, wanted ideally to throw to the tight end in kind of a pro-style offense. But when you have an offensive line that needs the extra help a lot of the time, I mean, it was just a luxury that they didn't have most of the time.
Yeah, there aren't many. Who's the best college tight end you can remember? I would think that Keith Jackson's one
Pitts.
of them. Who?
Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts at Florida. Yeah, a wide receiver,
I'll tell you,
kind of hybrid tight end.
Vernon Davis.
Vernon Davis at Maryland, right?
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
There's been others, but the teams, Alabama used to use them, not as much anymore, but they remember that they've had great. Ohio State, golly, what Fields did against Clemson with his tight ends. It's just, it's a great factor. So that's one thing we'll obviously get to. Here's the trade now between the Rockets, Cleveland, and Brooklyn. Brooklyn acquires James Harden in a three-way deal with Cleveland. You're going to have to help me with some of these names. Karis LeVert, Dante Exum, Radion Kuric, and 4 first-round picks, including the Cavaliers' 2020 first-round pick via Milwaukee and 4 Nets picks to the Rockets. Jarrett Allen, Taurean Prince to Cleveland. There's a local angle right there on a national story. We just found it. I'm glad I read the rest of it. So former Baylor star Taurean Prince is traded to Cleveland from Brooklyn so Brooklyn can acquire James Harden. I'm curious about this. It is now, we're in an age, and I guess if you're unhappy at this job or any job you might have, you can go find another job, right? Mm-hmm. But my God, the way now players can just basically leverage themselves to get traded.
Well, I will tell you this. I don't know how the Nets think, and look, Steve Nash has got a tough job there with the egos in that locker room because, look, he already had Kyrie Irving, who is, sometimes I think he's certifiably insane. He's got Kevin Durant, who is the least emotionally mature basketball star I think I've ever, seen for what he has. And then you've got James Harden, who's just ridiculous right now. So he's got to work all those guys into a playoff run. Now, look, say what you want to about LeBron, and he's got his own issues, but most of the time it's not like LeBron's never been a whiner. Like a whiny baby stuff. It's more look at me stuff.
A little bit,
but it's never been like this.
No, not like James Harden. I don't care. I'm the coolest in the room guy.
Yeah, like it's not like that. LeBron doesn't have to tell people he's the coolest in the room because he's LeBron. And it's just a mess. By the way, the other reason I'm kind of mad about this, that it happened today, not tomorrow, is my top 5 has to do with the disaster in Houston sports right now. And number 1, the problem's already solved. So I either have to go back to the drawing board or we'll just address it at the end of the show.
Royce O'Neal just tweeted, my dog TP just went to Cleveland. Hope he gets off and go hoop. And so that's former Baylor star Royce O'Neal on Taurean Prince. But you start reading that and you're thinking about, okay, picks and all that. But James Harden, basically, did he not quit on Houston?
He absolutely quit. He's a quitter. He's a baby, and he actually said, I love this city. I've literally done everything I can. The situation's crazy. Dude, you're the reason there's a situation. Like, you haven't done everything you can. If you had, then Boogie Cousins wouldn't be saying what he's saying today about you, and there wouldn't be all of these reports. Now, this is Houston's fault because they let him act like this. They, gave in on actually trying to not control him, but to keep him somewhat in line or keep him, being a professional like everybody else on the team, or at least being treated like everybody else on the team. In the NBA, you're going to have stars that are treated a little bit differently, but like they went so over the top for him that he could literally do whatever he wanted to, and then it turns into a problem. Oh, really? You think so? I mean, that's exactly what happened here. They gave him all the rope in the world to be James and do whatever he wanted to do so long as the Rockets were, contending for titles. And then, the moment he's unhappy, all right, I want to leave now. And that's the NBA for you. I mean, we've seen it, all these guys, jumping on teams together and doing all that. And it's cool. I mean, there's a lot of, exciting storylines that come from that and all of that. But, I mean, it's a players' league, and there's no putting it back in the box at this point. I don't see how you could.
Is Kyrie Irving on that team?
Yeah, and he's got
Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant. I mean, it's the Brooklyn Nets. That's
absolute team of drama. I mean, that's drama queen city right there.
Yeah.
Of course it is. It's in Brooklyn,
well,
right?
And of course, and they did what everybody else does. They wanted to play together, just like the Heat did, and just like every other team has done some form of over the last 5 to 6 years. So,
and trading first-round picks is almost like a millionaire giving up nickels.
I mean, not really. I mean, first round picks are super valuable. The only thing is in the NBA, you just don't know if they're going to hit. I mean,
or they're going to be number 5 or number 27.
Right, but I mean, the NBA draft is basically a round draft anyways. I mean, the second rounders don't even make the teams all the time, so it's not like it's really the greatest thing ever. The NBA draft's probably one of the more overrated things ever once you get outside of the lottery.
Well, that's kind of what my point is I know that you still have great players that can be drafted out of college. But you do that, if you give up 2 or 3 first-round picks in the NFL, that's a big deal. Mm-hmm. Now, you can still miss on them, but the NBA, it seemed like even when you do, but in fact, if we're number 7, but we can be number 3, or we can be a lottery pick or not, it just seems like that's like giving up nothing. But you disagree? That's fine. I don't know.
No, I don't disagree. I need to know what I'd be disagreeing to because I'm not. But no, I'm just saying 4 first-round picks is super valuable. I mean, you can get really good quickly, but you got to hit on those guys. And yeah, you don't know where those picks are going to be just yet. But I mean, obviously they're going to be valuable. They're first-round picks, and then you can pair those and push back and get a higher first-round pick in a upcoming year. Or you can do all sorts of things with it. I mean, Houston's definitely got a lot to play with, and I just saw where I guess the Rockets are acquiring Victor Oladipo from the Pacers, so that's a big deal. They're going to be sending Karis LeVert, who they just got in this James Harden deal. They're already turning him around. So there you go. I mean, that's the thing is like the likelihood of them holding on to all these first-round picks and actually picking at those spots in the next few years is very low because they're probably going to package it to have a quicker turnaround. But they've already packaged Karis LeVert, and they'll get Victor Oladipo. So Rockets are busy right now, but like I said, I'm not a James Harden fan. I will definitely not be rooting for the Nets. I have no ill will towards Kevin Durant, really. I know people have issues with him. I think Kyrie's very much in the same mold of James Harden in so many ways. He's an interesting guy. Some may say dumb, but he's interesting. And that'll be a really unique team to watch in the locker room.
We've already probably given them too much time, haven't we?
I mean, not really. It's the biggest story in sports, so not really. But
I like Kevin Durant's always. I guess
if you're a Rockets fan, are you thrilled that he's gone, or you now look back and go, "My God, we never won it with all the guys we acquired"?
My thing would be thanks for nothing.
Well, did he win an MVP?
But who cares? What do the fans get?
Every year he was there. Listen, I think this is. You know how I feel about the trade. He forced this. He got his way. The petulant child gets to win. But my question was he always he was damn good.
Yeah, but
he was
it was
really
all
good.
based on him.
It was all based on him, and who cares? To me, if my guy wins an MVP and they're not competing they're not at least in the finals. I'm kind of like
they never made it to the finals.
Yeah, that's very empty to me.
Did they ever make it to the finals?
No, he made it to the finals with Oklahoma City, and then and then of course they lost, but to Golden State. But
so Westbrook now is where?
He's in Washington.
Okay, he's on his 3rd or 4th team. Mm-hmm. Harden is now on his 3rd team, and Durant is on his 3rd team. 3rd team.
And all those guys were together and didn't win.
Yeah, I mean, they were all younger. I mean, James Harden was definitely not who he is now or has been the last few years. He was the 3rd wheel by a long shot. That was Kevin Durant's team with Russell Westbrook as the 1B. Russell Westbrook and Harden had their issues last year. That's why Russell Westbrook wanted to leave. So I don't know. I guess he's with his buddies now in Kyrie and KD, and it's all going to be magical and great and all of that. But, no, I mean, it's absolutely a players' league, and once you're fed up at a place, it doesn't matter – what you did or didn't do. And Harden, hey, he got him conference finals and MVP and all that stuff. I mean, but as far as, the team goes, it never reached the point it was supposed to, and now it definitely won't because he's not even going to be there. So we'll see if it works for Brooklyn. But, I think Houston fans are probably relieved, if anything, just to have this over with.
I would hate it. I would hate it as a fan. You had a team that was assembled at the times, was pretty talented, very close. But, man, are they a drama queen-filled soap opera. And after last night, you had to get rid of him. Well, who's the owner? Oh, my God.
Tillman Fertitta.
Yeah, you had to do it. You got a lot in return with the numbers of picks or whatever, but you had to do that, right? We'll ask Freddie Gillespie a little bit about it when we have him on today at 4 o'clock. This is from Shapiro. I'm not sure which one it is, but in the NBA where you can basically force your way. That's what happens now. That's been going on. I wonder if the trade includes his beard. I wonder if that's got to go. if it got to go.
What are they, like the Yankees? They're going to make him shave because he
well,
joined the
Durant's got a little. Doesn't
one
Durant have
of
a
the things that's going to have to go is that 20 pounds of muscle.
There's another thing. Yeah, he's not. It's not like he came back in great shape.
He did everything that he could do. He did everything that he could do, including showing up out of shape and overweight. And he did everything he could do, including breaking protocol. And he did everything he could do, including skipping film sessions. And he did everything that he could do, including arriving late to multiple film sessions to the point that Westbrook got pissed off and had to finally say something before eventually leaving himself. So, yeah, I mean, it's never James's fault. It's never Harden's fault, but, whatever. He'll go get a ring or attempt to. But that makes Nets-Lakers your likely finals, picture now, the way it's set up.
If, in fact, if you're a City of Houston Estonian fan, so you had the Texans who were pretty good, and you messed that up because your coach traded a great receiver, and then that thing blew up, and now you have your quarterback who's kind of on, God knows what's going on with that. Now you have your team that was making a run, that was competitive for maybe a Western Conference title. That's gone. And the Astros, obviously they've had their baggage. Even with the championship, they do have the championship. And they're going to lose, what's his name, Springer? Mm-hmm. Has he signed with anybody?
No. I mean,
of course, the free agency in baseball's been like dead in the water.
It's not even slow to a crawl. So
when we come back, golly, what a day. I'm glad the Torian Prince is on his way to Cleveland to be a part of the Cleveland Cavaliers. When we come back, Parrish Cox II. He played for Dan Quinn for a year in Seattle from University High, and he's going to join us in what he remembers most about playing with Dan Quinn. And that's also leading into Freddie Gillespie. He'll join us today at 4. Katy football coach Coach Joseph, Gary Joseph at 4:30. At 4:45, Craig Way. 5 o'clock, John Machota on Dan Quinn, the Cowboys and theathletic.com. And 5:30, Jeff Grimes, SicEm365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. They've got the savings going on right now. Following the big post-Christmas rush, you'd think that maybe the deals would be over and New Year's would be over. They take a little bit of a break from offering you thousands off of vehicles, but that is just continuing on at Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. Celebrating 2021, they're starting it big with the New Year, New Ride Savings event. You can get big haul power, first-class comfort, and ride and unbeatable technology with the Sierra. It's the best truck on the road, and right now save $8,500 on a 2021 GMC Sierra SLE Crew Cab truck. Maybe you're looking for a top-of-the-line midsize SUV. Richard Carr's offering $6,250 off a 2021 GMC Terrain. You can save $4,500 off the stylish, intelligent, and nimble 2021 Buick Encore GX, which also includes on-the-go Alexa technology. And during the New Year, New Ride Savings event, all pre-owned cars and trucks are priced to move with amazing deals all over the lot, including cars and SUVs for under $137 a month for qualified buyers. If your credit stinks like 2020, well, it's a new year, and in 2021, 100% credit approval is their goal. Just bring your tax refund or your stimulus check to Richard Carr, and they will stimulate your stimulus with even bigger savings that will pay off years. Go to Richard Carr Motors today for details and test drive, or log on to richardcarr.com now and have them bring the test drive to you. Make 2021 the best year ever, starting with a new car or truck during New Year, New Ride Savings event at Richard Carr.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
It's a new year. Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Hi, this is David Smoak, including what you'll need to watch the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl. Ribs, sausage, links, brisket, chicken wings, bags of various snacks, and customized appetizer trays. Don't forget to order something now for the perfect home-cooked Valentine's Day dinner, which is closer than you think, including combo packs with ribeyes, fillets, and lobster tails. Live crawfish season is just around the corner. Absolutely the right time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Waco Custom Marketplace, your family meat market, butcher shop and bakery with everything baked fresh with old-fashioned farmers market atmosphere. Serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122. For your company's mass COVID testing, log on to impacthealthlabs.com.
All right, we're back. SicEm365 Radio. Paul Catalina tracking down Parrish Cox II. His time in Seattle for a year when he was with the Seattle Seahawks. Of course, he spent a lot of time with San Francisco as well. And when I spoke with him last night, he did not know. He was kind of surprised about Dan Quinn as the new defensive coordinator. In fact, one time he said to me, he goes, I wonder if I need to go back and spend another year in the NFL. But his career pretty much, we believe, is over. Now, if you have a comment on the 254-339-1122 on the text line, on the trade, James Harden to Brooklyn, Taurean Prince to Cleveland. Draft picks are already changing hands and players are changing teams already. Your thoughts about that, we'd like to hear it, 254-339-1122. And really, as well, on what we've discussed, that these players, it's no different than, let's say you worked at wherever you work, and you got tired of being there, you wanted to go work for somebody else. What do? You call them up, right? You get to go work for somebody else if that business wants you, with nothing in exchange. Now, am I right, this Armstrong and Craig, that if you're an investment person, you probably have no competes, just like sometimes in our business there's no competes about what you have, what you've compiled, whether you're in insurance or perhaps investment business or whatever?
I mean, yeah, I would think probably, yeah.
Protect the business, yeah.
I don't know investments, so, but yeah, I would think you're probably have a no compete with clients or whatever.
Yeah, there's got to be something there. But in the NBA, there is free agency. This is not free agency. This is trades. These are trades. Okay, he's tied up? Yeah. Okay. All right, that's fine. So there are trades. And this is a trade. And this is a trade that I think the Brooklyn just sat back and was patient with it, right? You think they just like, we're going to eventually get him. But they still ended up giving up a bunch and also losing. Now, Taurean Prince, who's going to share the basketball?
Yeah.
Well, that's already led to a ton of original jokes on Twitter about, like, what are they going to play with 3 basketballs? And, and it's funny. I mean, it is. I've just seen it now 10 times in the last 15 minutes, so it's lost its appeal. But, that's going to be the big question is how that works for the Nets. I'm not the biggest NBA fan in the world, so this doesn't really just make me lose my mind. Like, I'm seeing a lot of people who love the NBA are losing their mind. I'm just sort of glad the drama's over with. I'm tired of hearing about James Harden. I'm tired of hearing about Rockets and James Harden drama. So I'm glad for the Rockets fans out there that you get to finally, be done with this fiasco and can just now focus on being a better team, and a team that doesn't have, a headline every 2 days because the star player has, some new complaint or has no-showed some, new event or whatever he was up to, mostly, showing up to meetings late and whatnot. But I'd be relieved. And it's been quite the year for Houston sports fans. He said that a little while ago, but I don't feel too sorry for them because just a couple years ago, the Texans were in the playoffs, the Astros were winning the World Series, and the Rockets were, competing, perhaps even reaching the conference finals. So they've had a pretty good run there in Houston. It's all kind of falling apart at the same time. But if you're, the Rockets, of the 3 teams, the Texans have a lot to answer for. This whole Jack Easterby thing, it's kind of a mess. They need to obviously have some discussions with Deshaun Watson and clear the air there. But they'll be fine, I think, ultimately, depending on what happens at head coach. The Astros, they're a little bit more interesting. But the Rockets and the Astros, interesting because you might be starting to get to that point where you're losing your George Springers and those guys that you drafted years and years ago and won with. So they're kind of in not a rebuild mode, but they're getting close to where it's not what it once was kind of a mode. And for the Rockets, hey, you know what it is now. You're not going to be competing for the finals this year, but you got the whole future out in front of you. You got a bunch of picks. You got so many different ways you can go. You can either use them in free agency. You could use them just to draft young players. So if I'm a Rockets fan, I'm ecstatic about today's news.
Paul, do you know enough about the investment business? We ought to try to get one of the guys at Edward Jones on. I think that if, in fact, they wanted to leave.
If they have a no-compete or not?
I'm pretty sure. But if you are working at a job and you don't like it there and you want to go work at another job, whether it's in the same business or not, most people don't have non-competes. I wouldn't think. If you're a teacher at a school district and you don't like it there, you can go work for another school district just like that, correct?
Yeah. I mean, in most businesses, if you have a contract, then you have to adhere to the terms of that contract, and maybe there's a no-compete in that, or you have to buy your way out of it. But yeah, you can, look, you signed a contract. It's a competitive thing, so you can't just decide, like, okay, I'm going to go. It would be the Wild West if that happened, if they just decided, woke up one morning and said, all right, I'm going to go play for this team. Now, that's actually how pro sports were before there were organized leagues. Like, that's what professional football was in the 20s, where you could just be like, okay, well, I don't like the Chicago owner anymore. I'm going to go play for New York, and good luck fighting this in court because the contracts weren't worth the paper they're printed on, and that begged the need for organization. But James Harden, the thing about Brooklyn is, you can be all thrilled that you're going to get this guy who can put 50 points at any given time. But, I'm kind of what has that ever done for any team that he's been on? What has that ever done? Has it mattered?
I mean, he's gotten to conference finals and he's played in finals. And I mean, he's one of the best players in the world. So I think it matters. We need to see what it actually looks like on the court first. But I mean, it definitely matters. I would say, I don't know where you're going with the no compete thing, but Paul asked the question of, what if we just let everybody do what they wanted to do? Well, guess what? That's what college football has passed and what they will do this upcoming year. Point. That's the dumbest idea ever, right? Let's just let these guys do whatever they want to do. And that's what college football has passed, where anybody can just transfer this year with no repercussions whatsoever. No, like you have to get permission to talk to them or, I don't know all the particulars on it, but basically it's going to be the Wild West. So as dumb as that idea sounds, that you would allow that to happen, that's actually what the NCAA has done. So
that's exactly. No, it is absolutely open up every dam and let the water just come out, right? That's exactly what's going on. Absolutely exactly what's going on. My point about the non-compete is that there's usually in certain jobs, in the NBA, James Harden can't trade himself to Brooklyn. No. Rockets still have to do that, and Brooklyn needs to be able to say.
He got as close as anybody ever has.
Yeah, I mean, basically did.
He got as close as anybody ever has.
And then last night, what he said last night. Now, also, I want to say this. Boogie Cousins My interest is to play with John Wall, to be brutally honest. The Harden disrespect started way before. This isn't something that, all of a sudden started last night. It's completely unfair to the rest of the guys in the locker room. Has DeMarcus Cousins ever kind of gone south on a team he played for? Sacramento?
He has more personality issues.
Yeah, his was more. It wasn't.
He's not a tank.
He never tanked it. Just like I think one time he got really mad at the media. Actually, one of the guys he's got mad at was Pierre Nugent. Did a story on him that he didn't much care for.
Really?
And so Boogie Cousins is one of those guys who like if you put something out on Twitter about him, that's and you're in the mainstream media, he's gonna see it and he's gonna tell you about it. Kind of like Des Bryant. I would say Boogie's more of a Des guy, where he's a pretty darn good teammate, but sometimes it's like, bro, calm down. It's all right. You're kind of going overboard.
You'll be okay. Yeah. Everything's going to be okay.
I think, much like Russell Westbrook gets a bad rap, I mean, there are certain things that you can, not like about a guy, or maybe certain personality traits that they have, but I think, maybe the NBA, when reporting about certain guys paying with a broad brush, and if you're not paying particular attention to what it's about, you may just get this thing in your mind of like, oh, well, he's a problem child, or he's a bad guy, or he's a bad seed. Boogie Cousins isn't a bad guy. He's not a bad seed. I mean, he's got his attitude issues just like many other guys do, but, I mean, he's the one sitting there talking about how Harden started this whole thing, not the other way around. So, I mean, problem children come in different shapes, sizes, and reasons why they're problem children. James Harden and Boogie Cousins are in the same league as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, I don't like it because Harden gets what he wanted, and he basically used the system, which I guess is legal, to be miserable enough to force a team that in the last 5 or 6 years has been competitive towards winning a conference championship, and now I don't know if they start all over, but pretty close to that. But it's as much Houston's fault as anyone else, right? Tillman Fertitta, does he take any?
I mean, I don't know how people in Houston feel about this, but I mean, they gave him all the room to do whatever he wanted to do, and so yeah, to an extent, it is their fault, because once you let him out and you show like, hey, there's barely no boundaries, and then you try to put some boundaries in place, well, that's not going to work out that well for a guy like that who has all the leverage in the world. That's the thing about the NBA is the players have all of the leverage. They have all of the leverage. So as soon as one guy's not happy, he can just pout, throw some things out in the media, and, ultimately give it enough time and probably find his way out of town, and more often than not find his way to exactly where he wanted to go to begin with. And it's, a year after guys sign new contracts, and it's just, I don't know. I'm not going to be old guy who's like, well, I remember when guys never changed. Well, that's so far ago. Like, that's so outdated at this point that that's not even worth even bringing up. But I don't mind guys changing teams, but I don't like the kind of strong-armed approach that, the NBA has become of basically the players just running and doing whatever they want to do as far as, joining teams and creating alliances and doing all that. I know a lot of people enjoy it. I just don't, because it's every year it's some new thing. It's some new combination of guys who want to play together, and some new complaint about all the millions that they're making and not being treated correctly, or it's just it's so tiresome.
And Craig, you and I are from the Jordan, Johnson, Bird era, where those guys, they played together on the dream team, and they did that for a reason, but they wanted to beat each other in the ring. Like, that was part of it. It was like, hey, every 4 years, everybody can get together and we can beat up on the rest of the world. But when it comes to the league, we want to beat up on each other. We want to know that we beat, if I'm Michael Jordan, I want to know that I beat Magic Johnson, that I beat Clyde Drexler, that I beat John Stockton and Karl Malone. I did that. I didn't need them to win. I beat them. And this is a lot different. So it's a different era. And so now you're saying, well, our three beat these three, but to get there, you beat up on a lot of teams that didn't have three guys, because it's not like it's an ever renewing resource. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, the NBA is talking about doing expansion to try and make up for some of the money they lost. With what players? Like, how are you going to even do that? You barely can field teams who have a star player, because there's other teams who have 3 and 4. So how are you going to bring 2 more teams on, and who's going to be their stars? I mean, I think it's watered down a little bit, the amount of teams that are actually competitive. And if you're not somebody in LA or Brooklyn or someone like that who's always going to be a destination place, then building your team up is a lot harder. You have to, A, get lucky in the draft like the Mavericks with Luka, and then you have to go about putting all the pieces around them. But if you're not LA or Chicago or New York or whatever, that's a lot harder to do. So you almost have to go and draft another guy, and it's just more difficult. Whereas, we've just seen, like, I want to go win a championship. All right, Brooklyn's just going to go bring everybody in, and I don't know. I don't think one's wrong from the other. I mean, there's different ways to get to a title, but it's just for me, and maybe I'm totally wrong on this, but it's just tiresome every year. There's some new superstar who's got some complaint with the team, and his whole motivation is to go join his buddies in another place and win a title there and create a new big three, because we've had like 30 new big threes at this point. And it's just, I just don't enjoy that. I don't enjoy that. I would like to see James Harden, run it out with the Rockets, but I know that that's too damaged of a relationship at this point, so you got to do what you got to do. But this is what he wanted all along, and that's what makes it sort of maddening, is that he got his way in the end. Spoiled little child got his way in the end.
Got to take a break. We'll see if Paris Cox is available. Probably not, but we'll see if he is. But how many superstars who were malcontents or were attitude issues? By the way, DeMarcus Cousins, according to Daniel, has 127 technical fouls in his career. That doesn't mean he's a bad person. It just means he's tough.
Draymond Green has probably as much as that.
How many superstar players who were malcontents? Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, you would love that in the 90s. You would love that guy. That would be your enforcer guy. You would love to have a guy like that in the 1990s.
How many superstar malcontents, if you want to call them that, are just guys that always seem like they're miserable? Me, whoever that might be, actually changed to win a championship? We'll come back. If you have some names, 254-339-1122. The lines are open. The text line's open. And so is everything else in between. This is SicEm365 Radio. Ideal MRI. A chance for you to get something looked at that hurts, that's painful, that doesn't allow you to function during the day, that's your neck or your shoulder or your back or your knee or your ankle or something that hurts. An MRI that can find out exactly why it hurts. What is the issue? Is it something that's a sprain, something that might be pulled, or is there something that's torn, broken, or worse? And, of course, we're talking about muscles, bones, and even ligaments as well. Ideal MRI, every time you go get an MRI there, and if your doctor says, hey, we need to get another look at that, we need to get a better look at that, we need to give you and get you in for an MRI. Say, okay, how about Ideal MRI? If you are in the Central Texas area, and it's worth even driving from elsewhere to get here, because an MRI at Ideal MRI is $497 or less every single time. At idealmri.com, you can go online and you can also get your appointment set. You can also pre-check into your appointment. Then you arrive in the Central Texas marketplace and you get your MRI, and the Texan specialist will make you feel at home and comfortable, because sometimes an MRI can be a little bit something that you get bothered by, spooked by. Their state-of-the-art technology, the machine is incredible. I've been in it and I've seen the results. Dr. Rob Maxey called me later that day, told me what was going on, and I shared it with my orthopedic surgeon, Dr. David Haynes at Southwest Sports Medicine. So if you have something that's bothering you, because normally the average MRI is $1,100 on average. Ideal MRI is $497 or less every single time. IdealMRI.com.
Don't settle for second best. Allen Samuels has the Dodge models to make your heart go pitter-patter. Allen Samuels is Waco's Customer First Award for Excellence winner for 3 years running. Come take a peek at the new 2020 Dodge Charger SXT with $5,670 in value or 0% for 72 months. Or the new 2020 Dodge Journey, one of the most affordable third-row SUVs with $6,750 total values available. Shop today at AllenSamuelsDCJ.com. It's the Start Something New sales event at Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, your friend in the car business. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new Lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Engel at the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
All right, here we go. SicEm365 Radio. Craig Way at 4:45 on Steve Sarkisian being at Texas. He was introduced yesterday. Freddie Gillespie, former Baylor. What a story he was, huh? Division III to Baylor, to a star player for them, among other stars, drafted by Memphis, the hustle of the G League. We'll have some comments maybe from him on this trade. On the text line from Statman. As a Houston Rockets fan, I'm glad Harden has been traded. No more dealing with the drama and his whiny attitude. It's time for the Rockets to reload before becoming an NBA title contender again. So there's that. Which sport, and I asked this question, I don't know the answer. I'm sure there's somebody, I'm just not thinking about him. A star player who was, I don't know, malcontent kind of is a strong word, but that's kind of what I'm looking for.
I mean, but if you think about, look, Terrell Owens, it never did him any good, really. I mean,
he ended up playing in a Super Bowl with Philadelphia. He was with San Francisco. He got into it with, was it Steve Young?
Well, I mean,
who did he fight with there?
So
Seifert?
Jeff Garcia.
Jeff Garcia, okay. But he was a free agent and went to Philadelphia. So he went to Philly as a free agent. Then when he got into it with Donovan McNabb, and he did an interview last week really throwing McNabb under the bus about the Super Bowl.
He ends up in Dallas.
He ends up in Dallas, and he was fine until he wasn't. I mean, so.
What did the Cowboys give up for him? You remember?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember.
But he ended up on.
He had one good year. No, they had one good record year at 13-3.
Yeah,
and it was a team that lost to the Giants, and that team looked like with Romo Young that they were pretty good. Marion Barber, Felix Jones, right?
Mm-hmm.
He ended up with that one Super Bowl appearance with the one team in which he forced himself to leave or forced to get rid of him. I'm trying to think of how many superstars who are just all about themselves changed knowing the only way they could win a championship is if they themselves became better as teammates and gave something up along the way? Not sure. Not sure of anybody.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody.
It rarely ends very well.
I'm sure there is somebody, I don't know, but I can't think of anybody. I don't know, maybe James Harden's on that list. I mean, let's see with Antonio Brown. If the Buccaneers go and win a Super Bowl, then he would be a guy. And I'm sure there's plenty of others we're just not thinking of.
Le'Veon Bell in Kansas City?
Yeah, if they win.
Yeah.
But, I mean, again, but he hasn't really.
But it's not like he's turned around his attitude to make them better. He joined the Super Bowl champions, so it's not like he really had to do much if he does, in fact, go get a title.
Nothing that's happened to the Chiefs this year has been because of Le'Veon Bell.
No.
He just. Now, there have been guys who have gotten in trouble and then ended up what?
Yeah, get Jack on the headset here. Jack's got a good one.
All right.
Maybe the only one.
Dennis Rodman? That's the only one I can really think of.
There you go. I mean, he was a guy who was considered a malcontent, but you know what? They didn't change him. And Dennis didn't really change. I mean, if anything, he got bigger and louder and crazier in Chicago and elsewhere. So I think that's another one where you're like, the media looks at him, oh, he's different, or oh, he's not normal like everybody else and cookie cutter. He's a malcontent, or he's a crazy person. And Dennis Rodman was, to an extent. He was a crazy person to a certain extent, but, on that court, he was all business. And he had his dust-ups, but, you could never say Dennis Rodman wasn't playing hard. You could never say Dennis Rodman wasn't playing hard. You could say that about James Harden, like, 1 out of every 2 times you watch him. I mean,
so I know
that's probably for any Harden defenders probably over exaggerating, but you can't tell me that he plays hard every time he's out there.
Rodman in the Last Dance, we actually saw the behind the scenes. Remember, he went to Vegas or wherever it was, and they went and found him, right?
Well, that scene with Carmen Electra was hilarious, where she's like, "Yes, I was in a hotel room, and Michael Jordan came in the room."
Yeah. Yeah. All right, coming up, Freddie Gillespie, former Baylor basketball player who's been drafted by Memphis, the hustle of the G League. We'll have him, and then also our 4 o'clock hour just keeps on getting better and better. But Freddie Gillespie, Jeff Grimes, Baylor offensive coordinator at 5:30, SicEm365 Radio. PettyClinicLowT.com. Dr. Kent Petty can help you become a high-performance man, the high-performance man that you want to be. How? You have to contact them. You can do that by going online, PettyClinicLowT.com. There are 2 or 3 ways online on the website to contact them. You can call them. You can send them a note. You can also tell them what you're looking for. Like maybe you're sluggish, you're lethargic, or perhaps there's issues with your sex drive and your endurance, maybe ED. And if that is the case, Dr. Kent Petty can try to help you out. But this is what's going to happen. You have to contact them. It's like you have to let them know. 1 out of every 3 men have symptoms of some sort of low testosterone issue. And what that can lead to is all of what I've mentioned. And as you get older, that is more likely to happen. So you contact them. They'll help set up blood work for you. Discounted rate, tell them Smokey sent you. He'll look at your testosterone levels. And if your levels are too low, if they're not nearly what they need to be, or even if they're slightly lower, he'll put you in a program to help you become the high-performance man that you want to be, with your energy, sleeping better, feeling better, being sharper, and also with your sex drive, and possibly helping you with ED. It's something you have to reach out and make that call, or get online to PettyClinicLowT.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army radiologists. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233.
MP Electric has developed a quality-oriented electrical contracting service in more than 20 years in the industry. Led by President Mark Perry, our electricians go through a 5-year apprenticeship program, are licensed by the state of Texas, and getting continuous education annually upon renewal. In great part, the success of MP Electric lies with its management and professional expertise of its employees. All of our employees share a dedication to quality and commitment to serving the needs of our customers. For new construction and remodels, parking lot, lighting and surge protection, landscape lights, security lights, troubleshooting and repairs. For industrial manufacturing, food and beverage, paper and publishing, heavy industry, cement and rock crushing plants, water distribution plants, and utilities. For 20 years, MP Electric has serviced industrial, commercial, and residential products. We do service right. MP Electric Inc. at 1890 Galaxy Road, Waco. MPElectricUSA.com.
It's time to be brutally honest with yourself. Look in the mirror or weigh yourself. Do you weigh as much, more, or less than you did before the holidays or a year ago? Why not start the year in better shape than how you ended it and create momentum for 2021 and help strip the negative vibes, tension, pressure, and extra pounds from the crazy of 2020? It's time right now to join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. It's so much more than a gym, including world-class tennis courts, lessons available with pros, fitness merchandise, tanning, massage, personal training to get you over the hump. I promise you'll look better and feel better than ever before. Just need to walk through the front door. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Court. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp, spacious, clean workout room, free weights, Cybex cardio equipment, and no intimidation, a tremendous camaraderie and family atmosphere. So make this your best and healthiest year ever. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
ACOT. Too strong. Gillespie on the offensive glass. Slips underneath Manic and got it done.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on SicEm365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. This 4 o'clock hour. A couple of days ago, the G League had their draft. Former Baylor all-conference post forward Freddie Gillespie was drafted by Memphis. The Hustle. Freddie Gillespie from Minnesota joins us now on SicEm365 Radio with Craig and Paul and David Smoak. Freddie, first of all, thanks for your time. Appreciate you. We appreciate your time. I know you've been working out today, getting ready. Can we start with where you are as far as what's the timeline with the G League and your thoughts about being drafted by Memphis?
So the timeline right now, we have like I think starting today, we have like about a 7-day quarantine, self-quarantine between now and January 20th. January 20th, we fly to the home market, so I'll be flying to Memphis, and then we have another 7-day quarantine there, or we'll be in a hotel. No basketball, no basketball-related activities. I'm just testing. Then on January 27th, we'll fly to Orlando and have another 4-day quarantine there, where we just no basketball, just stay in a hotel. Then we start a training camp on the 31st. So that's a lot of quarantining.
So I assume that you've got to like load up on your like Netflix or streaming. Like, what are you going to do for all that time without playing basketball, Freddie? You're a gym rat, man.
Yeah, so I was talking with them. I was like, there's going to be something I can do. I don't know if I can be at the gym that long. That's a lot to ask from me. And they're like, yeah, it's tough. They're like, they got to make sacrifices. So for me, I mean, I'll probably just be doing like, I don't know, like mental reps or doing different pivots in my room. And I guess I'll probably bring some books to read and some movies, and I'll find something to do to stay active. So
what's life been like you basketball-wise? What's life been like for you basketball-wise since you left Baylor? Obviously, you had the downlines to the Mavericks and now the G League. Like, what's just basketball been like for you over the last year?
I mean, yeah, it's been actually, it's been a lot of fun, a lot of ways, a lot of uncertainty. But I mean, it's been great. I mean, it's this year for everyone. There's a lot of uncertainty just for any profession, not even just basketball, but for anything. It's there's a lot going on. But for me, yeah, man, I got to go train in Miami, which is an amazing experience. I was down there for about 7 months, about maybe even 8 months. Got to play against some great players like, Bam, Michael Beasley, John Wall, Andre Drummond, James Harden came through a couple times. So got to play against some great players there. Work with some great people and form some great relationships. And I got to go to training camp with the Mavericks. And that was cool. That was, just to have that first NBA locker room experience, which is just to go see what it was like and kind of walk in and say, oh, like when I was 19 years old, I was sitting in a D3 locker room, just wondering how I could thinking this was so far off and unattainable, and and now I'm sitting here with Boban and Chris Stapp and guys like that. So it was good. So it's just been just cool. I mean, it's been eventful, but it's been fun. It's been a great learning experience.
Is Boban as cool as he seems?
Yeah, no, he's so everyone always said that. Everyone says, oh, like Boban, he's great, you'll love him. So, and I got to talk with him, and a lot of times we would play one-on-one after practice, and he's one of the nicest guys, just friendliest, just guys that I've ever met. He's competitive, but he's just right. I would try to defend him or play against him, and then he would swap my shot or just pin me at the rim, and then he would in the most aggressive way possible, he would say, okay, here's how you can defend this now. Here's how I stop you, and then kindly explain how I can get better. So he's a great guy.
Freddie, I don't know if you heard, I'm sure you have, but Taurean Prince is now a member of the Cleveland Cavaliers. James Harden is now in Brooklyn, and you mentioned John Wall, who's in Houston. What are your thoughts about all the work that went on today with this trade between three teams in the NBA?
Yeah, so I did see that. I mean, first off, now that I'm actually being around these NBA guys, I realize how much movement and shifting and uncertainty there is. I was asking James Johnson, I was in Dallas. I was like, I was like, where's your home at? You've been on 7 different teams in 8 years. Where do you live? And he was like, and asking how they manage all that. But in terms of, all those guys I got to play with, I think all of them except for, I didn't play with Kyrie, but, James Harden, John Wall. And I think for them, I think from what I gather from a lot of people, what they want is the most is that they just want to find, I think, is a home and a place where they feel like they belong. And I think that's the thing that people try and find the most. I think I'll try and get the human side of it from what I've gathered. Is that's really what people are looking for. That's what players are looking for. They want to have that home and that family feel. And from what I've heard, the team that might have it the most is the LA Lakers. From what I've heard from people, they seem to have the most professional but family atmosphere. But I mean, I think Baylor has it. Baylor basketball team, they have it right now. And I think there, I didn't appreciate how special it was, but that's really what a lot of guys are looking for.
Well, on your Baylor Bears, they haven't gotten to play as much. I mean, they didn't get to play that Gonzaga game that I know everyone was looking forward to. But, you were inside that locker room last year, and you saw some of these guys like Adam Flagler that were just kind of waiting their turn, and Everyday John and all that. Your thoughts on how they've been so far this year?
Yeah, so, I mean, I actually got a chance to call John and Adam, I think earlier this week, or maybe late last week. So runs together. But yeah, watching them. I mean, Jonathan. I mean, they call him Everyday John for a reason. I mean, his work ethic was phenomenal. Every time I went to the gym, he was right there in the passenger seat, going over, going with me. We went at all hours of the day. But to see him kind of step up and flourish in the way he has, and improve his game. I mean, he's a crazy lob threat, which is always just fun to watch. I love watching Davion and Jared and Mesa throw him lobs. And Adam, I knew when I first saw him play, when they first stepped in the gym, I was like, this kid's going to be special. Like, I mean, I honestly thought, like, if he was on scout team, and I was like, he could have been more selfish. I thought he could have scored the ball every single time he wanted to. So,
do you feel a responsibility as a former player to keep tabs on guys and to, kind of be a sounding board maybe, or be there for them advice-wise? I mean, do you kind of feel that responsibility as a former guy? And does that at all come from, maybe the way former players were with the program while you were there?
Yeah, so when I was my last year, King would, King would message me, and I'd talk to him frequently, and Makai would check in on me. And so those are things that, always meant a lot, and always helped to know that, hey, someone's just kind of have, because you play with them, so they're kind of like they're like kind of outside of it, but they're still kind of in it because you're playing. So yeah, that's what I try and do for these guys. We're all friends too, so just have someone they can talk to. I talk to Matt, I got to speak with Jared, of course I talk with John a lot. So and just I try and be that. I try to be available as much as I can.
Was the time in Dallas enough for you to get become even more thirsty about the NBA? I know you're about to start the G League soon, but just being a part of that, you mentioned being in an NBA locker room, is that even fill your thirst even more?
Yeah, I think I went to Dallas, and I try to maximize every situation I'm in, try to make the most of every opportunity. And I think some people may get there in the NBA and realize like, oh man, like how hard this is. They might get like kind of wide eyes. But for me, when I got there, I looked around and I saw people I was playing against, and I saw in the preseason games and all that, and I was out of practice. I was like, yeah, I thought, I'm definitely good enough to do this. I said, this isn't as far off as I might have even originally thought. I was like, it's going to take some work. It won't be easy, but I definitely deserve to be here, and I'm going to work to make the cut.
Was the first night restless before that?
Where?
Well, in the NBA, like night before you're going into your first practice, you've never seen yourself play against these guys, and I wouldn't have slept.
Yeah, it could have been that way, but it really wasn't quite, because it kind of because with the whole COVID thing, they had to ease us into it. So, first we got there, and it was just group workouts, with our individual workouts with one of the skill development coach, and then it was group workouts with 4 people, and then it was team workouts, but no 5-on-5, and then we got team workouts where we would scrimmage. So it kind of eased us into it. It was a little different. It wasn't like when I was at Baylor where my first practice had happened. It was all came on me at once. It was kind of there were steps to it.
I know there were a lot of different pieces of advice that you had to have picked up over your time at Baylor, Freddie, but what is one piece, and where did it come from the coaching staff or whoever, that you still hold on to and go to or look to quite a bit, as far as just the advice that you were given moving forward?
Let's see, I think probably the biggest, the best advice, and it came from Coach Peterson, Bill Peterson. He told me this, and he told me this a couple of times, but he said even applied at Baylor, but the advice he gave me that I think probably resonates the most is he's basically talking about not losing the faith in yourself. It sounds kind of cliche, but not getting too high, not getting too low, kind of trying to keep perspective and being patient with yourself. He said in this business, he's like, there's a lot of people that are gonna be critical. He's like, there's enough people that are gonna be critical of you, that are gonna critique you. They're gonna say, oh, you're not good enough, you can't do it, he's not this. He said, so he said, don't be one of them. He said, don't tell yourself that. You got to be the person that always, he's like, that always maintains belief and maintains faith. He said, because if you put it on someone else, if you put it on having a coach tell you that you're good, or putting it on, a friend or, your family, he's like, when they say, then if you put it on them, then once they stop saying that, then, then all your confidence goes away. So he said, no matter what, always truly believe.
But isn't that who you are? That shouldn't be very difficult, even though there are going to be bumps and bruises along the way, that you have proven what it's like to dream and live it.
Yeah. So it is who I am. So I think for me, no matter where I start, I always think I can get to my end goal. And I think given how my path from Division III to Division I is Division I to, being there, how we were the number one team in the country, all that. It's showing, okay, every time, every task that comes next, it seems less and less insurmountable, or it seems less and less typical. Because I'm like, you know what, I'm like, I've never been able to do it before. So now it's easier when you have evidence from that you've done it before.
I would like to know, and you have to ask all your future professional basketball teammates this: how many of them have ever been in Peter Pan in a school play?
You know what? I haven't asked that. I should probably see, but I will say that I have heard some interesting stories from these guys, and it will surprise you, like what the kind of things they've tried and done in their life.
Hey, Boban was in John Wick 3, so it's like the same thing. So
he was, yeah. I brought that up. And he didn't and he got upset me for bringing it up because apparently he was like, yeah, because he told me that he said that since because he said they had him losing the fight and he wanted to win. He said he didn't like the way they had him losing, so he said he didn't want to talk about it.
Well, he's fighting John Wick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, you knew that. I'm like, yeah, so you should have known that going in that you would. They're gonna have you beat John Wick.
The movie's not called Boban.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. Three thrown, I suppose. But yeah.
How many John Wick are there now, Craig? 3? Is there? That is, man. That's intense. Yeah, that's you're not going to beat him.
No,
you're not going to, even if you don't. If you have the medallion or not, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Golly, Freddie, how much do you miss the atmosphere at Baylor? I know you're going to be in another locker room and you're going to have that opportunity as a pro. How much do you miss the campus, the atmosphere, that team and program?
Yeah, I mean, I think I made a lot of good memories there, and it's not so much like like the games and all that and I mean those are fun and all that and playing and all the hype surrounding it. I think like really what it is you miss the relationship, like you miss the people. I think that's what I miss the most. I miss because again, like you're around these dudes for so long, and I think it's not like the NBA where you have one guy on the team who's making $28 million a year and one guy making $1 million a year, and that's still a lot, but there's not a everyone's kind of like equal on the same plane. We're all kind of the same. There's a bit more parity, a little equity. So then you all kind of just like spending time around. We all just bonded by this one single thing. You spend so much time on each other that you really grow close. I miss teammates, like just like some of the GAs I got to meet, like we became really, really close friends. Some managers that still call me every day to check in, and then I call them, and that's probably what I miss the most is the people.
If in fact things continue on, and hopefully a season does get to a tournament, which of course there's so much in between now and March and even early April. But if in fact Baylor was to be able to get themselves in position to get to a Final Four and win it, do you feel like you're a part of that, even though last year you didn't get to finish, and that there's a piece to that for you as well?
Oh yeah, I already told people that that when they win it all this year, I expect a ring. I mean, I'm not a ring, but I still want a ring. I'm like, but yeah, I mean, all I'd say is, I think I feel a part of it because I look at that team, and I mean, it's all the guys that I saw last year. I mean, it's all the guys that I saw that were there last year. Like, it's not like a whole bunch of new faces, a whole bunch of new transfers or new people. Even the freshmen, I mean, Gaines from Minnesota. I knew about him, and his high school is right down the street from my house. Like, it's not that far. I mean, LJ, I did my first year at Baylor, he came in at 15. We played open gym on one of his visits, and they've been recruiting for 3 years. They were recruiting him all 3 years I was at Baylor, so I saw him several times. Zach Loveday, he was I did his visit. He spent on his visit. He stayed in my apartment. I did his visit. So we hung out the entire weekend. So I got to know him pretty well. So yeah, everyone on the team, I feel like I still know. I mean, I feel like it's not like I'm 10 years removed and I don't know the players anymore. I still know these guys very well, even the newer guys. So that's why I feel like I still feel kind of a part of it.
Well, we're excited for you, happy for you. Saw your name pop up very quickly. Good luck with all of it. Obviously going through the various things of protocol and isolation or, golly, whatever, you quarantine and a chance for you to be able to play and move up the ladder and continue your dream because you've lived it already a little bit, but I know you have bigger goals. And thanks for your time, Freddie. Good luck.
All right, thank you. Thanks for having me. Best of luck.
Great to have him. Freddie Gillespie of the Memphis Hustle of the G League. Spent time with the Mavericks at their training camp. Baylor, he became a very popular player very early. You know, when obviously Tristan Clark went out, it was like, what now? And then Tristan Clark, remember, it's been forever, it seems like, since he decided he was not going to play basketball again. And how are we going to place Freddie Gillespie this year's team? And they found Sean Muchachua, right? I mean, and he's playing at a great level. There's always somebody next up. You don't know who it is, but they seem to be just fine.
Freddie's one of my favorite stories in that when he came in, you're like, okay, well, that's going to be a drop-off from Tristan Clark because, Tristan Clark was this big-time recruit, and Freddie Gillespie was – a transfer from a Division III school. And then he came out and you're like, okay, well, he's pretty able to, rebound and play some defense. And I mean, he had to play a lot because they just didn't have any depth. And he was in great, he kept himself in great shape. And I'm sure he got in better shape as that year went on. And then not only that, he worked on, okay, well, you're going to get defense from Freddie, but will you get enough offense to make it, to offset some of the things that you lose? And then he became an able scorer as well. And
he became someone you had to be ready for him. You did. You're right. Very good guy. Great story. Hopefully it works out for him in the G League and on his way up. Now, we still have more to come. Today, I spoke with two high school coaches playing for state championships. South Lake Carroll's Riley Dodge will have that tomorrow. Carlos Lynn, who's the head coach at Cedar Hill, will join us on Friday. And then today I had a chance to visit with Katy head coach Gary Joseph. What a record that they have put together. Their 15th state championship appearance, which is just crazy. Some of the teams that are playing, the 8 teams, there's a lot of history with a lot of them in championship, and that's kind of what happens in high school football as much as it does in college football when we talk about Alabama and whoever else. So we'll have Gary Joseph. Then Craig Way will join us. He's got a game tonight. Texas has another game. They're, of course, having a great start in men's basketball, but his thoughts about Steve Sarkisian, introducing that, and much more. SicEm365 Radio continues right after this. Waco Custom Marketplace. You want something that you're going to have that you can grill, bake, roast, or smoke when it comes to beef, chicken, poultry, or even seafood. They have it at Waco Custom Marketplace. Brian Bauer, the Bauer family, what they've been through, and here they are every day opening up the door so you can shop and get what you want when it comes to a customized order for beef or something in their butcher shop, or what you want when it comes to their bakery, whether it's every morning fresh baked kolaches or fresh baked bread. And then there's the up and down the aisles inside in the middle where you can find anything from box dinners, canned goods, chips. It's loaded up with the spices and seasonings and sauces. They have it there as well. Waco Custom Marketplace with your butcher shop and bakery, your hometown grocery store feeling and flavor and delicious and treats. It's Waco Custom Marketplace, WacoCustomMarketplace.com at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to SicEm365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
What you do in privacy is your own business. What you do in public with your truck, well, that's our business at Pickup Outfitters. In your garage, it's okay for your truck to parade around in the nude with no accessories. Hey, this is still America. But when you bring your truck out in public, it's just common decency to put an outfit on your truck. And that's where we come in at Pickup Outfitters. Put a cover on that bed. Cover your rear end with a bumper and a hitch, for goodness sakes. There are women and children on the roads. And guys, don't leave your tools exposed. Put them in a toolbox. Be proud of your truck and stand tall with a lift kit. Or improve your truck's posture with a leveling kit. Add some class to your pickup with new wheels and tires. Or dress up for a date with your new RV or boat with a fifth wheel or a receiver hitch. At Pickup Outfitters, we're dedicating to making the roads decent for all Central Texans. So when taking your truck out in public, remember your manners and accessorize it properly with an outfit from Pickup Outfitters. 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. This high school football segment is sponsored by Southwest Sports Medicine. We'll get you back in the game.
Joseph, longtime head football coach at Katy. They play for a state championship. Cedar Hill coming up on Saturday afternoon at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. Do you ever have time to stop and reflect back on the success that the program has had when you were a defensive coordinator and or as a head coach? Do you ever have time to enjoy what you've accomplished?
Not really. It's not about, the last one. It's always about the next one. So when I'm gone, then maybe we will and stuff. But, I'm just so proud for these kids and live in the moment right now.
What did being a part of staffs with the Etheridge family mean to your career?
Lynn and Bobby both were great mentors and things, and good people. And they gave me my first opportunity to be a defensive coordinator when I was at Westlake and stuff. So it really kick-started my career where they were going from there.
How did and how much work did it take with Mike Johnston and you were a part of that staff to turn the corner for Katy to become the program it is today? Can you go kind of reflect back on the building blocks of trying to make all that happen?
Mike did a great job with this and stuff and getting the program started and just patience and his patience and things. So it was tough, It wasn't always what it is today. I think the biggest thing is just, the growth and maturity and getting kids to buy in and stuff. It took about 4 years to get the things really started and stuff. And, it started going pretty well. So, yeah, it's a good job. Doing that. Getting the program on its feet.
15th trip to the state championship. What does that mean to you?
And it means, to me that, the people in this community can hold their head high, that they have, it's a place of winners, it's a place that's been blessed, to have, good kids here, and kids that aren't afraid to work, and kids that aren't afraid to be successful in things. And the biggest thing is the type of kids we have here, and the type of kids that go up here and and like I said, the younger ones as they move up, they have high standards, high expectations to live up to every year, and that's what you want and things. And so I think it's meant the world to this community, and Katy still is a community. It's still got a town and stuff. And I think that's important because these people get out and support their kids.
You're playing Cedar Hill. You've played them before. There's a history between the two programs. Does that make it any more special because you've met them 3 times before?
Some of these kids have never played against them. That's the whole thing. And it's been about we haven't played them since 14, I guess. So that's about 6 years. And they don't remember the last time we played them. They just know that they're very talented, and they were state champions 2 years ago in both games. That we lost to them. We had an opportunity to win, so they were both competitive games. And I think they're looking forward to sitting there and competing and trying to win this one.
When you come out of the Houston market, you're going to have to face some phenomenal programs. And, of course, you've had to face the North Shores or even later on a Lake Travis, and you've beaten them for a state championship before. Can you try to describe the sledgehammer of trying to get out of that area in Class 6A out of the Houston market?
It's tough. It's always tough. And it's not just great programs. They've got great coaches in the Houston area and things. And, like you said, the North Shores and the people like that and things, they're going to be there every year. And you're going to have to sit there and know you're going to have to compete to get out of here. If you can survive without getting beat up too bad, then you face the West Lakes and the Lake Travis and things in that round. So nothing's going to be easy about getting there. And it has been nothing easy for us about getting there. So I was all fight the whole way.
I've always thought the team that I saw that was the best high school football team for 1 year ever was 1983 Dangerfield. I was fortunate enough to cover them. But your team in 2015, and I know it's about this week, don't get me wrong. I know it's about this week in Cedar Hill and playing for a state championship. But when you look back at that team with all the shutouts at your level, giving up, only twice over 10 points in a game, was that the best football team you've ever been a part of?
Yeah, it probably was. And we've been a part of some really, really good ones. But overall, from offense and defense and kicking and everything, that was probably as good a team as we've had around here.
What makes this team this year for you so special?
I think the thing that makes it so special is the team that survived this pandemic. They gave up their social life. And stuff to sit there and be a part of this. I think that's what makes me special, the unselfishness of these kids. And they were unselfish doing that. I think we had our hiccups and stuff, but I as much overall as I talked to them and complimented them that they got us here because they were willing to do that. And I think that's what makes them so special.
Nick Saban said that on Monday night. I'm not sure if you caught that or not, that this is the ultimate team because of what they sacrificed to get to a point to play and keep playing and eventually win the state championship. Very similar to what you're thinking?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I think. I didn't stay up that like that way too late to play stuff. That's fine. But no, like I said, I think that's the feeling of most coaches, right now. The gratification they have from UIL allows us to have a season. And, Susan Ells and Brian Polk and Jamie Harris and all those people, and Charles Wright, all the people that went to Pro Fast to have a UIL season. I think that's important, to know and mention. And a lot of people really helped us in this thing. We get to play this time, and it's good.
Gary Joseph, head coach at Katy. Your father put a tremendous thumbprint on Texas high school football. He's been honored many times. You're a part of the UIL Top 100 coaches as well. What does it mean that the Joseph family has had such an impact on a game and a sport in a state where it means so much?
It's quite a compliment to my dad and my mother because, they were a big part of this thing the whole way. That's who we are. I think that it's genuine people that what make this profession what it is and stuff. And great coaches and things. But most of these coaches that you talk to like that are genuine people, and that's what's really important.
Gary Joseph, long-time, incredible Hall of Fame coach at Katy with us on SicEm365 Radio.
So if you look at the teams that are in the state championship this week, Alito, the tight end Baylor offered after on the phone with Llewellyn, on the phone with Jeff Grimes. Crosby, we had Jerry Prieto on. Denton Ryan, we've had their coach on. Cedar Park, we have not. Cedar Hill Friday. Katy today. South Lake Carroll tomorrow, and Austin Westlake on Monday. So we pretty much run the gamut. Those games, 1 o'clock and 7 o'clock Friday, the 5A state championship games, and then on Saturday, the same times. Starts with Cedar Hill, Katy, South Lake Carroll, and Austin Westlake. Katy's 15th trip. Think about this. Their 2015 team. You hear me talking about 83 Dangerfield a lot, 85 Yates, right? 2015 Katy ran the table, 16-0, 10 shutouts. One game a team scored 3 points. Twice teams scored 7 points. Once somebody scored 8 points. And then Manville scored 17 and Cypress Ranch scored 20. They outscored opponents 778-62 at the 6A level in this day and age of crazy.
That's lopsided.
North Shore knocked them out the last 2 years. Lake Travis knocked them out in 17, and North Shore knocked them out in 16. So since that dominant team, they've been knocking on the door, but you're losing the North Shore 3 times in the last 4 years, and, of course, Lake Travis once as well. Those are teams you lose to. Katy wins those games sometimes as well. So we'll have Carlos Lynn. He'll be on with us, Cedar Hill coach, on Friday at 4:30. Anything else, you guys? Craig Way will join us from the University of Texas. He was on the Horn in Austin, had a chance to visit with Steve Sarkisian, who was introduced yesterday by the University of Texas brass.
It was interesting of me that Steve Sarkisian in the press conference leaned into the Eyes of Texas so hard instead of saying like, well, I just got here. I want to kind of learn about the issue. Like, no, it almost, and I'm not trying to accuse Sark of, but I mean, it's like he read here's the answer that you give.
No, that's what Chris Del Conte told him to say, is what it was. I mean, he had to have been given a heads up that was going to be a question, and it will continue to be a question. And I don't know how UT fans responded to his answer, but he said they're going to sing the Eyes of Texas. And then, of course, said, well, we're going to have to talk, and have conversations and whatever, but that's not going away. And, I'm glad it's not my battle because this thing has been dragging on, and there's definitely two sides to the Eyes of Texas thing. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure he'll be asked about it again. And, as long as he wins games next year, no one will really care. I mean, that ultimately is what will be the truth, is if he wins games, no one will care what the players are doing with the Eyes of Texas afterwards. Maybe some old alums will. But, I thought he was prepared to answer it and didn't really answer anything, but managed to get through that question and not have too much backlash from it.
Yeah, he just said he did it, moved on, and, of course, there was going to be a little bit of reaction to it here and there, but the bottom line is he got through it. So we'll hear from Craig Way on that in about 5 or 6 minutes.
I did see an interesting Twitter thread yesterday where they were playing Texas introductory coach bingo. Texas high school coaches, this program is yours.
Yeah.
We're going to sing the Eyes of Texas. We're happy with our quarterbacks. We're going to be back quicker than you think.
Yeah, we'll be the most physical. We'll be the most whatever all coaches pretty much say. And especially,
what's the one with gas and brakes? What's that saying that's been around?
All gas, no brakes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's nothing new. That's nothing original. That's been said for a long time, and you can said that about Art Brow's Baylor teams for the longest time. So that's nothing new. If anything, Steve Sarkisian has taken some things from Art Briles, as have many other offensive minds, and it's very clear watching today's college football. It was clear watching that on Monday night as well.
Alabama winning and celebrating. Steve Sarkisian introduced yesterday by the University of Texas. And so the Big 12 now, Gary Patterson, who's been around for nearly 2 decades, right? Who's next?
As far as who's been around the longest?
Yeah.
Gundy.
Yeah.
Gundy and Patterson will not be caught. They're both in the double digits. Gundy seems like it's been like 12 to 15 years, if not longer, for him.
Then it's Lincoln Riley and Matt Campbell, right?
Yeah, exactly. Randa's years 2, Sarkisian year 1, Matt Wells year 2.
3.
Neil Brown 3.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas State
Kleiman
year 3. Riley, I mean, it's amazing how quickly you look up and down, and it's you have Patterson and you have Gundy, and then you have the constant rotation. We'll see what happens with all of that.
Yeah, but that's normal. I mean, who has a long-standing head coach right now? I mean, practically nobody. I mean, even Boise State.
I talked to Frank Beamer when we asked him that question.
Even Boise State's changed coaches, so. Yeah. And they typically would have, like, the guy who's been there for 8 or 9 seasons, but nobody else is,
Like, Stanford, David Shaw's been there a long time.
Yeah, but
Nick Saban's been there a long time at Alabama. And everybody else, I mean, you're in your 5th or 6th year if you're doing well.
Yeah, pretty much. So, I mean, it's more rare, the days of the Beamers and the Bowdens and, those guys. That's not the case anymore. And, maybe – Ryan Day is at Ohio State. Maybe he's there for the next 20 years. Maybe Sarkisian is for Texas. I don't know. But maybe Lincoln Riley is for Oklahoma. Who the heck knows? I mean, don't know what their individual desires are as far as guys who eventually want to go look at the pro market like a Matt Rule versus the guys who are willing to stay in college their entire careers.
Well, the other thing I think about with this is it's twofold. One, schools are a lot quicker to pull the trigger now than they ever were before. And two, look, if I've coached 10 years and I'm making $6 million a year and I've won a championship or two and, I've got money in the bank. Do I need to chase it anymore? I mean, because you have to be cut from a certain kind of cloth to be Nick Saban or Bill Belichick, who, when you still have the money and the wins, that it's all you still go for. Some people just want to go fishing.
Saban, I think it's we asked Nicole Auerbach that. He just becomes as thirsty as ever before. By the way, Katie Nixon, who played at DeSoto, has entered the transfer portal. Max Olson with that. He's at Colorado. He played at DeSoto. 100 passes, 1,250 yards in 4 years with Colorado. And I remember he was a player. Wasn't Baylor on him a little bit? I believe they were.
Matt Rule was on him and another DeSoto guy who's I think it was another DeSoto guy. But no, Katie Nixon's a good player. I don't know if Baylor would have interest or not. And they're pretty loaded at wide receiver right now as far as the numbers go. And he was a good player, a little bit quieter at this point in his career than maybe I thought he would be. But he's got explosiveness, that's for sure. So it'll be interesting to see, where he lands. But I don't know if Baylor would be interested in him.
Craig Way covers Texas, the voice of Texas, on Steve Sarkisian. At 5 o'clock, John Machota on Dan Quinn, the new defensive coordinator with the Cowboys. We'll try to see if we can get Parrish Cox on again at around 5:15. And Baylor offensive coordinator Jeff Grimes today at 5:30, SicEm365 Radio. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco. Alan Samuels, with the new year, some of the new opportunities for you. One, the Ram truck, back-to-back-to-back Motor Trend Truck of the Year. Back-to-back-to-back-to-back Motor Trend Truck of the Year. So one, you can count on Ram Truck, and of course the loyalty of the Ram Truck owner is documented with what they do. Also right now, you can find the new 2020 Dodge Charger XT with $5,600 in bonus cash or values, 0% for 72 months. Ask them about details when you get on the lot. Or 2020, the Dodge Journey, one of the most affordable third-row SUVs with $6,750 total values available. Shop online, AlanSamuelsDCJ.com, or you can drop by the dealership, and they're taking care of making sure they're always smart with what's going on inside of the showroom if you're concerned about that with social distancing, and also making sure they constantly disinfect this and that left and right as you walk through the showroom as well. Also, incredible deals in the 2021 Jeep Cherokee Latitude Plus and or Lux with $6,750 in values, or 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo with $4,250 in values. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, Bod Pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change, your change.
Bird Culchin Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culchin Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culchin Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new pre-owned Bird Culchin Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership. Online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culchin Ford.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of health care while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of health care has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel & Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel & Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel & Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
Appreciate Dr. Steve Childress, Stonewood Dental, one of our sponsors, 447, joined by the voice of the University of Texas Longhorns and also the Horn in Austin, Craig Way, who's been kind of a busy week. Texas Tech and Texas tonight. Shaka Smart with that great start as the Horns as well. But we start. Craig, thanks for your time. Happy New Year. You have high school football state championship week, and I know today was a busy day talking with coaches. You have tonight's game with Tech. And, oh, by the way, the University of Texas introduced a new football coach, huh?
Other than that, it was pretty quiet, Smokey. Good to be home with you again. How are you?
We're doing really, really well. So Steve Sarkisian, did he check all the boxes his first day in Austin?
I think so, at least judging from, you know, how fan reaction is and the reaction to our shows on the radio station and our host and all that kind of stuff. I don't know that there was even really a great deal of boxes in his case that he even really needed to be checking, because I think so many folks were ready for a change, and whatever he was going to say, short of, just coming out with all kinds of fire and brimstone that might offend anyone. Other than that, I think whatever he was going to say was going to sound okay. And as it turned out, he had a really good message with what he was talking about. So I think the reaction has been largely very, very positive so far to Coach Sark.
Craig, the last two coaching searches, Charlie Strong and Tom Herman, they kind of got into the who's the hottest name and kind of giant hunting, but not necessarily what's the best fit. This is a little bit different, isn't it, with Steve Sarkisian, even though he's been a head coach at USC and Washington, but he's had a bit of a different path.
I don't think there's any doubt about that, Paul. And the way that it went is, there was speculation as to whether the university was going to elect to stay with Tom Herman. Of course, this rolled all the way back to, late fall and the conversations ramping up after the loss to Iowa State, that Urban Meyer was in their sights and all that sort of thing. And then Urban Meyer said he wasn't going to go back into coaching, at least not for the time being, health-wise. And so then it seemed to back down a little bit, especially after Texas had won very impressively, handily over Kansas State, and then, of course, the bowl game as well. But there were those who were saying all along that it was not done. The issue was never completely gone away. The issue was whether or not they could find a candidate that somebody, and those who were making the call on this. Well, it turns out there were basically three people who were making the call on this. Kevin Eltife, who is the chairman of the Board of Regents, and then the university president, Jay Hartzell, and the athletics director, Chris Del Conte, CDC as he's known. Chris Del Conte had kind of been in conversation with them, and they decided upon further evaluation of the program at the season's end that he wanted to make a change. And he said it was, it all just kind of came together that they all seemed to be on the same page, that Steve Sarkisian was the guy they wanted to pursue. And so without any further ado, they went after him.
When it comes to his comments about doesn't think it will take as long as some people might think, I know that had to be music to Longhorns fans' ears, Craig. And where do you think this team kind of stands talent-wise versus, everybody else in the Big 12 and even nationally, teams like we saw on Monday night?
Yeah, that's a $1 million question, isn't it? Because when everybody knew that the news conference was coming up the next day, I think Longhorn fans probably watched that national championship game with more interest and more eagerness than they had any game that didn't involve either themselves or at the very least another Big 12 school. So there was a lot of interest. And of course, in following a lot of the buzz on social media, a lot of that conversation was simply that, that offense looks great, but how do you weigh that up given what Texas has talent-wise by comparison? And I asked that question. I had an interview with Coach Sark yesterday after the press conference, and I said, I know there's a sliding scale involved here with regard to the talent, but is this the type of productivity, what fans saw in the national championship game? And he said, yeah, he said it's a small sample size of what could be done, but he kept coming back to the thing that Longhorn fans really seemed to like was, we got a lot of work to do. We're not that far off, and there are talented players here. And I think there are some really talented players. And he got a commitment from a four-star receiver from Louisville before the news conference even happened. And they'll continue to hammer that point home. Certainly, recruiting, as we all know, is the lifeblood, the success of an athletic program, a football program. So they're going to have that. But there's a different vibe, a different attitude, and it kept coming back to him talking about the work that has to be put in and his mantra of all gas, no brakes, just so that's what he's signed up for. And even as he continues to put together his coaching staff, as well as the end of the recruiting season, recruiting class, he's still going full speed ahead, and that resonates well with a lot of Longhorn fans. One
of the things that also probably affected Tom Herman was they lost the commitment of Quinn Ewers from South Lake Carroll, and then he eventually committed to Ohio State. Do you think that door's open again now that Sarkisian's on campus?
That question was put to Quinn Ewers right afterwards, and his response, they actually put the question to him after Ohio State had just won its semifinal game over Clemson. And his response was, I'm still firm to Ohio State. And, folks were talking about, well, did you see Alabama's offense. Now, then his response was, yeah, I also watched Ohio State because they were impressive at the time. So I'd say for the moment, it's probably still firm. Texas turned right around. Here's your other grand irony, Smokey. Texas turned right back around after Quinn Ewers decommitted and immediately offered Cade Klubnik, the Westlake quarterback, who will oppose Quinn Ewers Saturday night in the state championship when it's father versus son, Todd Dodge against Riley Dodge, the Dodge Bowl for the 6A Division I state championship on Saturday night. So that's a little extra twist added to it.
Well, we're talking to Craig Way, voice of the Longhorns. We've discussed Steve Sarkisian. That's on the table. Obviously, state championship week. He just brought that up. We've had Gary Joseph today, Riley Dodge tomorrow, and Carlos Lim will join us on Friday as well, along with Todd Dodge earlier this week. And then, of course, Shaka tonight in Texas, UT basketball hosting Texas Tech. Paul?
Craig, would this year, had Tom Herman come back, been one of those kind of deep breath kind of things, just because there appeared to just be underlying tension that was never going away with him, whether it was within his control or not?
With some folks, Paul, that was probably always going to be that way. There were some folks who, for whatever reason, had made up their mind that they were not on board with him, did not like him. And folks can point to any number of little small things or statements or production or lack of production. And the key losses. They lost 3 football games by a grand total of 13 points during the year. And instead of some folks looked at it, wow, they were close, good football team. The other way to look at that is he can't get them over the hump. That's where the dichotomy is, and that's where the debate was, one side or the other, depending on how folks looked at the issue. And depending on how they felt about Herman, helped shape and mold that opinion. So had Coach Herman returned, I think the binoculars would have been on him, and there would have been all of that microscopic stuff going into the season, regardless of all of that. But I think you're right. I think some folks had felt that tension, that current there, and it wasn't going to go away even if Coach Herman had returned.
So, Craig, I know that you've got a lot going on. So before we let you go, I want to ask you about this basketball team, what Shaka Smart's got cooking so far this season. How impressed have you been, and what's been the biggest difference from maybe what you've seen the last couple of years?
Well, they always say there's no substitute for experience, that sort of thing. The unusual thing is that at least going into the start of the season, or at least into the fall workouts, every single player from last year's team returned. And, of course, they added a 5-star recruit in Greg Brown from the greater Austin area. But every single player had returned. And I asked Shaka before the season began, I said, I know this hadn't happened for you since you've been at Texas. And I said, and I doubt it probably did it when you were the coach at VCU. But maybe when you were an assistant under Billy Donovan at Florida or Oliver Purnell at Clemson, have you ever been around a team where every single player returned from the prior year? And he said, no. And it kind of creates a dynamics challenge because you have guys who played well, got a lot of minutes, and were expecting to get at least that again this year. And then some of the younger guys who didn't have quite as many minutes, who felt like maybe they had taken a step forward during the late season 5-game winning streak for whatever reason. So you had to work all that in, as well as working Greg Brown, the freshman. But it's all worked out well. They've done it through some sticky defense. They've got a veteran backcourt with Andrew Jones, and what a great story he has been. And then in addition to that, Courtney Ramey, having those guys, and Matt Coleman, the point guard, that veteran backcourt, they've rebounded the ball well, and they've had a flair for the dramatic. They beat North Carolina on a buzzer beater, and then, of course, Andrew Jones last week with the three-pointer on Saturday to beat West Virginia. So it's all worked, but as Shaka's quick to point out, they don't do anything great. They do a lot of things good, and he said good is the enemy of great, the old coaching axiom. So they're going to have to be better than just good tonight because Texas Tech is playing really well right now.
What is the most intriguing story this weekend with the 4 championship games? Is it the Dodge Bowl? Is it Katy Cedar Hill again? Is it Crosby, who's kind of come out of nowhere? Or, Denton Ryan, my God, in that game that they have coming up, of course, as well. So, there seems to be like star power. Crosby might be the one that's not, but they've, of course, been on a pretty good mission. It's going to be an incredible weekend, Craig.
Yeah, I agree, Smokey. They all have unique storylines. You mentioned Crosby, and of course, had they lost and Liberty Hill was a fumbled snap going for two away from winning, you would have had the other dramatic and compelling story with Liberty Hill losing its football coach, Kent Walker, to kidney cancer right at the end of the regular season. His brother, or losing Jeff Walker, his brother Kent becoming the head coach and guiding them all the way to the semifinals. But they lose to Crosby. Crosby is playing Alito, who's trying to become the first school ever to win 10 state championships, regardless of division. So there's a storyline. You mentioned Katy and Cedar Hill meeting for the fourth time in 9 years. And then, of course, the Dodge Bowl probably has more compelling stories and stuff around it. But for all of that, the best game might be Denton Ryan and Cedar Park.
Yeah.
It's number 1 in the state, number 4 in the state. It's the only matchup of unbeatens. You have the Black Rain defense in Cedar Park, really good against all of those star-studded players like Billy Bowman Jr. and Kiori Hicks and Jatavian Sanders for Ryan. That could be a real electric game come Friday night. They all carry great stories, no question.
I know you'll enjoy the week. Thanks for your time, Craig. Good luck tonight with the broadcast. Appreciate your time.
Listen, Smokey, keep the Bears healthy. I'm supposed to be there to do the Monday night game against Kansas for Westwood 1. So,
okay.
So I want to be there and I want to do the game. So let's get them healthy, okay?
We want to see you there and do the game. Believe me. Thanks for your time, Craig Way. Westwood 1, of course, voice of the Longhorns, the Horn down in Austin, does an incredible job weaving through Shaka Smart tonight, high school football Friday, Saturday, and then, of course, the Sarkeesian introductory press conference, his show on the Horn as well.
He's the James Brown, the hardest working man in show business.
I think he is.
I mean, he really is of what we do. I mean, if you see Craig at home, it is June 1st.
Yeah, no,
or July 1st.
And that's after the College World Series in baseball. Coming up next, John Machota, Dan Quinn now, of course, the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys. Thoughts on that? Plus, Jeff Grimes, Baylor offensive coordinator at the bottom of the hour. Jack McKenzie, Armstrong Sims. They both run the mothership. Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina. I'm David Smoak. We continue the 5 o'clock hour, SicEm365 Radio.
All right, so you're in an office and you've got an employee that gets COVID-19. You've got maybe 15, 16, 20 people in your office, and you want to make sure that you head off any kind of outbreak at the pass, and you want to make testing available to your employees. How do you get that done? Well, remember this website, impacthealthlabs.com. That's impacthealthlabs.com. Whether it's your office, your church, dormitory, athletic associate, whatever you need to do for mass COVID testing, Impact Health Labs can do that for you. They will come to you. They will come to your office. They will do the tests, and you'll have the results within 24 hours. Plus, the cost to you very low as they accept most major forms of insurance. ImpactHealthLabs.com. And again, 24 hours so you're not waiting around for a week knowing that everybody has to quarantine or nobody has to quarantine or what's going on. COVID-19 is going to be a way, even with the vaccine, it's going to be a part of our lives for the foreseeable future. ImpactHealthLabs.com for your mass COVID testing.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab blood work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today. Just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway, Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John Machota of The Athletic. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus. And best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects. With 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
Only 4 incompletions for Dalton today. 17 of 21. And he finds his man, C.D. for a Cowboys touchdown, 52 yards from Dalton to Lamb.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Brad Wilson. Investing is time and experience back to you and your money during today's changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
5 o'clock hour starts with John Machota. Bottom of the hour, Jeff Grimes, Baylor's offensive coordinator. He'll join us as well. John Machota on the hiring of Dan Quinn, the defensive coordinator with the Cowboys. John, I guess I've asked this question a couple of different times. Did they get it right, and is this just kind of, he's been pretty good before, or could they have gotten something a little bit maybe more new and shiny of a coach to take over their defense?
Oh, I'm sure that there's always a new shiny option out there, maybe from the college ranks or somebody that was an up-and-comer on a pro staff, maybe that was a linebackers coach or somebody that was looking to be the next guy coming up. But I don't think that's what the Cowboys were looking for. I think they wanted somebody, particularly Mike McCarthy, wanted somebody that was established. And you look at his track record of hiring defensive coordinators, they usually have head coaching experience. And so I think it's a pretty good hire. I don't know that they could have done much better on the surface. I don't know a ton about Dan Quinn behind the scenes, but he's been connected to 2 of the better defenses that we've seen in a long time in the NFL, in that 13-14 Seattle team. And now, obviously, the talent was outstanding on those teams, and the talent is not outstanding on the Cowboys defense. So there's going to be an issue there. But I'll say this: I just think it's all about what your expectations are. If you think that Dan Quinn's going to come in here and then all of a sudden they're going to be this top 5, top 10 defense, I think you got another thing coming. But if you think that, I think what your hope should be if you're a Cowboys fan is that he builds the defense up to where they're at least to that level of defense that the Atlanta Falcons had when they went to that Super Bowl. Now I know they lost the Super Bowl. I understand they blew a 28-3 lead. But that team was built kind of similarly to the way this Cowboys team is, where it's the money spent on offense with guys, like Julio Jones and Matt Ryan. That's what they were going to win with, was on offense. And so The defense just had to kind of do their job, not make big mistakes, not give up, getting gashed in the running game all the time like we saw the Cowboys this past year, and then being all bought in and not having effort issues. So I think he can do all those things, and then they can be like maybe middle of the pack. And I think that's the best thing you can hope for until you start seeing them spend significantly on defense, and I just don't see that happening anytime soon.
John, their offense has potential with everybody's healthy to be the kind that can carry the team into the playoffs. But does their defense have to be top 5? I mean, couldn't they win with a top, 13 to 17 defense?
Yes, absolutely, and they certainly can win the NFC East with that. I mean, they win the NFC East this season if Dak doesn't get hurt and the defense still plays the way that it did. So if you combine Dak not getting hurt, the offensive line staying healthy, and then you just have a defense that just basically really what you're looking for is what it was a few years back, where it's a good, solid defense that's bought in and knows its principles. Under Rod Marinelli, under Chris Richard, who was the passing game coordinator, and was kind of, running the back end of things there, which is obviously going to be similar to what, Dan Quinn is bringing, because they were obviously together in Seattle. So I think that's what you look for. And so, I understand that defense didn't cause a lot of turnovers. There weren't a lot of those big time plays that like really stand out and get on SportsCenter. But at the same time, it's solid enough that it can do its job, so that when they're asked to go out there in a few occasions that, they need to keep a lead tight, they can do that and keep the game close enough for their offense to strike. But yeah, no, this team is clearly, it's built to win with the offense. If the offense is shut down, they're not going to win many games. But if everybody comes back and they're supposed to and are healthy, then yeah, no, the offense can absolutely carry them beyond the NFC East, but they can go on a run in the postseason as well.
Do you think Sean Lee is headed towards retirement?
I do. Now, I will say I did feel that same way last year, and in talking to him in the Zoom call we had with him at the end of the season, I think it was right before the season finale. He talked about how he didn't really know for sure, but then he sat down with his family and discussed it, and he decided, what, I still love it too much. I still got too much I can contribute. I'm going to do this one more year, and so. It could be a day-to-day thing with him. And one day he could be feeling like he's coming back, and the next day he could be, what, I think it's better I just get into coaching now. So I'm not 100% certain, but I got the feeling that he was leaning towards this season was going to be the last one, and that he certainly seemed interested in coaching. So why not try and keep that guy in your staff? That seems like that would be a great move.
Does this save Jalen Smith's career in Dallas?
That's a really good question, because I think this scheme, going back to what they were doing before, is probably a better fit for him. I just don't, the linebackers just didn't seem, they didn't play well this year. Leighton was hurt most of the year on and off, whether it was the collarbone, and then he had the high ankle sprain. And then, so you're always concerned with the injuries there. But then, even Jalen, he didn't play well. And so maybe this is something that does, buy him another season. And that comes down to Dan Quinn. I'm sure that during the interview process that Dan Quinn was asked, like, what are your thoughts on Jalen Smith? How can you use this guy? Do you want him here? Should we move another direction? What do you think about our linebackers? What can you do with them? And Dan Quinn's expertise is really it's the front seven, but it's really the defensive line. And so if he thinks he can get the job done, then yeah, maybe he's back. Maybe it does buy him another year. The contract makes it difficult, so it shouldn't be a complete surprise if he's back. But it'll be interesting to see what they do at linebacker, because even if they go into next season with Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith again as their starters, they need to address that position with another guy in the draft, just because they need some more depth there with somebody that can come in and play right away if need be.
John, they were going to have to reform the defense if they kept Mike Nolan talent-wise anyway, because what they had on the roster wasn't fitting with that. Now they don't necessarily have to, they're still going to have to get more talent on defense, but they don't really have to change who they were looking for before. Do you think that's kind of an advantage going into the draft, that they can kind of go back to what they know?
Yeah, for sure. I think that the group is more comfortable drafting for a 4-3 type defense like they had been doing in the past. Just out of the necessity, that's what they had been doing. And I think that they already have personnel that fits that better. I think Randy Gregory is your right defensive end, DeMarcus Lawrence is your left defensive end. That makes a lot of sense. And those guys are both, familiar with that as well. So at least you have some pieces to build with up front there. So yeah, I think it'll be a little bit easier than the last year at this time. It was just go get us the best players and we'll fit the scheme to them. Well, they did go get the best players in the draft. That worked out well. Didn't work out so well in free agency, and then obviously didn't work out well with adapting the scheme to the players. So I think it'll go back a little bit more to leaning towards drafting guys that fit this scheme a little bit better than maybe it was last year. But that doesn't mean they're going to pass on somebody they think is a good talent. I mean, I don't care what scheme you're running. You're drafting DeMarcus Lawrence. I don't care what scheme you're running. You're drafting Trayvon Diggs. So they need to draft a lot of defensive players regardless of scheme. They need playmakers.
What position do they need one more of, a defensive tackle or cornerback? Or, again, I know the concern is always at safety with the Cowboys. And then, hell, if you think about with Jalen Smith, then is there a position that they wouldn't need to draft, you think, with whether it's Dan Quinn or anyone else on defense?
Well, I do think they definitely need a corner. I would be really looking at that at 10. I think if you get another top corner like that to pair with Trayvon Diggs, I think you're in really good shape there just because I don't see them bringing back Chidobe Awuzie unless he's coming on a team-friendly deal. I don't see them bringing back Jordan Lewis unless he's coming on a really team-friendly deal. So I think you're going to need help at corner there, whereas at least at defensive tackle, you're going to get Tristan Hill back, Neville Gallimore's coming back. Antoine Woods is a better fit for this team than the other one. I think it's interesting how you even seen some tweets from Antoine Woods and DeMarcus Lawrence after the Dan Quinn news came out, basically supporting it. So I think you at least got some pieces there. I think corner it's such a valuable position. I think it's one of the top 5 most valuable positions in the sport, and so they need to add another playmaker there. So that would be number 1 for me. But with Dan Quinn now stepping in, I'm interested to see what he'll do at safety, because when he was in Atlanta, he was willing to take a safety in the first round. They took Keanu O'Neal. And then the same thing with Mike McCarthy. He has taken defensive back safeties in the first and second round when he was in Green Bay, and that just hasn't happened here. So are they willing to do that now? I would think that they'd have to be, because on the back end of his defense, if they're going to be playing this cover 3 that we expect them to play, you need a safety that can play in coverage, and I don't know that they really have that right now. Donovan Wilson come up in the box and play, and he can cover a little bit, but they need another guy that can really cover in some space, and as another guy that can create turnovers on the back end. So they don't really have that. I'm interested to see how they can kind of fit that piece in there, because I don't know you're going to find that in free agency. I think you have to do it in a draft, and I don't know if there's a guy. There's not a guy in the first round. Maybe they do it in the second.
Is Dan Quinn Mike McCarthy's guy, or is he Mike McCarthy's guy based on the pool that the Jones family gave him?
No, I think he's more of a Mike McCarthy guy than kind of being, forced to take this guy on. It sounds like, from everything I've heard, is that he was the favorite in the clubhouse right off the beginning. So because of that, I find it hard to believe that it's somebody that Mike McCarthy's kind of just getting forced with. But they've had some similar coaching backgrounds, worked with some similar coaches and things like that. So that should help. But no, I don't think that I don't think Dan Quinn was forced on them. Maybe getting back to what they have done in previous years might have been, as opposed to being as multiple 3-4 that they were going to do with Nolan. Maybe the Joneses wanted him to be like, hey, you know what? Let's look to getting more back to the 4-3 we were doing before. It fits our top players and our personnel and defense better. But no, I don't think Mike McCarthy would have brought on Dan Quinn if he didn't think that. I mean, because with things not working out with Mike Nolan, I mean, how bad does it look if you get through a second season as head coach and then you're getting rid of your defensive coordinator again? I mean, that just cannot happen. That'll look so poorly on Mike McCarthy. He needs this one to be he needs to get a hit here. He can't miss on this.
Yeah, you do this enough. You get rid of enough coordinators. Next thing you know, you look around. You're the only thing that hasn't changed, and obviously we know what the answer is to that. What about the offensive line, which looked like they would be together for about 10 to 12 years, and of course Frederick had the syndrome, and then obviously Tyron Smith's got the back injuries that he's dealt with, and Lyle Collins missed the entire year. He should be fine. What about Tyron Smith? What if they had to make a decision on him? His contract friendly for next year, or is that a big hit as well? Because if you're looking to get rid of other people, you gotta see how much dead money you could afford.
Yeah, I mean it's still somewhat team friendly just because his deal the entire time has been team friendly. So I mean they could get out of that one. I think it all depends on his health. I mean, if they think, I don't think they're naive enough to sit there and say, hey, we're going to get 16 games out of Tyron. Like, I think we're at the point now where if they can go into this season thinking that they're going to get, 12, 13 games, maybe give them a rest here or there in some games, I think they'll be pretty happy with that, knowing that in those 13 games, you're going to have one of the best left tackles in football. So as of right now, with the way the roster is, I would say I believe Tyron Smith will still be back next season. What would make that interesting, though, is if they sit there at 10 and the best player available is an offensive tackle. And so if that's the case and they don't go defense in the first round, they take a tackle because they want to protect what's going to be their biggest investment, Dak Prescott, then maybe that changes some things up. Maybe then they're willing to maybe go in another direction with Tyron. But I don't see that happening. I really think that next year they go into the season with Tyron as the starting left tackle, Lyle Collins as the starting right tackle, Tyler Biotish as the center. I'm leaning a little bit more towards Connor McGovern being the starting left guard over Connor Williams, and then you got Zach Martin back at right guard. And that right there should be more than good enough to get the job done.
Thank you, John. Appreciate your time. John Machota with us on Wednesdays at 5, covers the Cowboys for Athletic.com, and is with us to discuss the hiring of Dan Quinn as defensive coordinator. All right, coming up next, a couple of notes. So, by the way, somebody else threw out a name about a superstar that forced his way out and mentioned Kawhi Leonard in San Antonio, who went to Toronto, won a championship, and, of course, now with the Clippers and trying to take them to the next level.
I'm sorry, I blocked it from my memory.
Yeah, I know. Also, a couple of other notes. Jeff Grimes, offensive coordinator, joining us sometime after 5:30 today. The Elena Getzenberg, who covers Carolina, Matt Rule, they have interviewed 4 candidates twice now for the general manager's job. One of them, Adam Peters, is the 49ers vice president of player personnel. Apparently, he at one point played defensive end in college at UCLA for a year, and the defensive line coach that year at UCLA was Matt Rule. Jeff Ireland is not, Paul, on this list. Titans director of player personnel, Monty Osenfort, Ryan Poles of the Chiefs, and Seahawks Scott Fitterer.
Yeah, and the Broncos just announced there were a lot of more GM openings this year than in a year. And
Washington's looking for one.
Yeah. So and a lot of those go hand in hand with head coaches as well. So it's going to be Washington. I believe they just hired Martin Mayhew. I know
they requested an interview. I wasn't sure he used to play there. He was the defensive back on maybe one of their Super Bowl teams. Yeah.
So, and he has a history with Ron Rivera. So, yeah, there's lots this year.
All right, Jeff Grimes, Baylor offensive coordinator. He's in Zoom meetings, coaching staff meetings right now. We'll come back and talk a little bit more about his hiring, where they are, and hear from the Baylor offensive coordinator, Jeff Grimes, coming up very soon on SicEm365 Radio.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, a hidden gem in Waco, and Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street. You hear me talking about it all the time, all the great things they had. They had the single barrel release of the Balcones that was just there at Riverbend Liquor and Wine. We got some of that. Steve Chapman was very generous and gave us some of that to try. It's fantastic. They have a wide selection of Balcones, not just that. So when it comes out, it's usually there at Riverbend Liquor and Wine. And I say usually because sometimes it goes really fast. They've got just an amazing selection of craft beer. And you want variety in craft beer. Say you're a big craft beer fan. You want to go and kind of have a grab bag and try different things. They've got it there. Unreal when it comes to that walk-in fridge. You can go in there. If it wasn't so cold, you could stay in there forever as a craft beer fan. Spirits, wine, all that you need, and they've got a great drive-through window as well. It's really convenient, especially when you know exactly what you want. You tell them, boom, you're done in 2 minutes and on your way to your event. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It's It's a new year. Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Hi, this is David Smoak, including what you'll need to watch the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl. Ribs, sausage, links, brisket, chicken wings, bags of various snacks, and customized appetizer trays. Don't forget to order something now for the perfect home-cooked Valentine's Day dinner, which is closer than you think, including combo packs with ribeyes, fillets, and lobster tails. Live crawfish season is just around the corner. Absolutely the right time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Waco Custom Marketplace, your family meat market, butcher shop and bakery with everything baked fresh with old-fashioned farmers market atmosphere. Serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
I know a lot of you have heard Jeff Grimes in the interview over the weekend with Baylor Athletics, and we've kind of gone over a little bit of that with you. He'll join us here momentarily. He is still in Zoom meetings with his coaching staff. But there's a couple of things that I got out of it, and one of them was when he talked about which coaches had an influence on him, and we've heard from some of them. Also, the fact that he checked out that quarterback room before he even got to, like, level 2 with this, which is like a basketball coach making sure you have a point guard. So that's one of the things. And then as an offensive line coach, Craig and Paul, man, I mean, he and Eric Mateos have work to do.
Yes, but they've done some good things. You know, and I know Joe Wickline had too, but maybe that just wasn't a fit. I want to bring it back up that you mentioned yesterday that what John McClain said, that your first coaching staff is your worst coaching staff. And I think sometimes people forget all over the country that this might be somebody's first head coaching job. Remember your first year on the job that you're in now that you might be good at? It probably wasn't. Even though you might be good at it now, it doesn't mean that you were good at it then.
No.
Somebody hired you because they knew that you were going to be good at it.
I wanted to burn all those cassettes. I have them. I've listened to some of them, as you know, because I was looking back. Joe Frazier, and a couple of others, Tom Landry. But, man, you go back and listen to the first show you've ever done or something you've ever done. It's it can humble you pretty quickly.
Yeah,
or make you feel better because perhaps you hope where you have improved in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that Chris Rock was good every time he went on stage as a stand-up comedian? No. I mean, there's trial and error. So, yeah, I mean, Dave Aranda, and it doesn't even have to be personal. Sometimes you can like somebody a whole lot, or you can think that this is going to be great, and then you actually work together. Or it's kind of like you could be best friends with somebody from high school, and then you decide you're going to be roommates in college. You're like, you know what? Let's be friends again that don't live in the same house. Yeah. I mean, that's just how it goes.
So Jeff Grimes will join us momentarily. And a lot of you have given us some feedback of what you'd like, questions you'd like to ask of Coach Grimes. Some of them obviously were on our radar anyway, but we'll do that. Oh, and up-tempo earlier today with JD and Drake had Kyron Drones, the Shadow Creek quarterback, who's going to be on campus here like in less than a week. Armstrong, how did that go? What was Kyron's feedback this morning?
It went well. He was talking about the quarterback battle and how he was excited to get out there and prove himself. So that was pretty cool to hear.
Good. Well, it's going to be an interesting battle with Zeno, Bohannon, Chapin, and also Kyron Jones as well. By the way, that one game is the only game tonight in the Big 12 in basketball. The one we mentioned with Craig Way, the Texas Tech game is in Austin against Texas. After we saw what Oklahoma, Craig, did you see that Oklahoma destroyed TCU? Just hammered them. Hammered them.
Let's go, man.
As did also the game as well last night with Oklahoma State with a nice win against Kansas. So the Big 12 right now, West Virginia, Baylor, I hate that it was canceled. I was hoping to be able to watch that. You know, there's a lot of games. Gonzaga, right? All sorts of things as well. We are now joined by Baylor offensive coordinator Jeff Grimes, who's been on Zoom meetings with his coaching staff on SicEm365 Radio. Jeff, thank you. So many people have wanted to hear from you, and we appreciate your time. Did you even know what Zoom meetings were maybe a year ago or so?
I did not. When somebody told me what they were, I wasn't really excited about doing them, to be honest with you. But that was the world we had to live in for a little while, wasn't it?
Yeah, yes, it was, and it's something we've had to adapt to. And isn't that kind of also in a way as an offensive line coach or an offensive coordinator, either getting ready for recruiting or practicing or in-game decisions is all about adaptation?
Yeah, sure it is. You got to be flexible, and you got to be able to overcome whatever challenges are thrown at you, right?
Coach, we've had a lot of your former employers on this show, from R.C. Slocum to Mike Sherman, Frank Beamer yesterday, lots and lots of guys, and all of them said that you kind of stood out to them as someone who really had a keen football knowledge, and then you had a great coaching staff when you were in college. Where did your kind of football brain start to pick up into coach mode?
Well, first, I got to say, y'all did some digging, because I had to go back and thank a lot of people for all the nice things they said about me, and I try to pay them well. But, yeah, surprised to hear all the people that said something about me, and they all texted me and said that I owed them now. But
yeah.
My favorite was Mike Sherman. He said, "Oh, I thought they were asking about your wife, Sherry."
She did get a lot of compliments.
When I was a graduate assistant for him, he called and recommended. This was when he was the line coach at A&M, back probably 97, or 96 probably, first year of the Big 12, and he recommended me for a job. And I said, "Coach, I really can't thank you enough." He said, "Well, it really wasn't that hard. I just kind of looked at a picture of myself and pretended I was talking about me." So I asked him, "Did you do that again?" No, you know what? I've been really, really fortunate to be around a lot of really good coaches, a lot of great people. And, we're all a product of our environment to some extent. And I'm certainly no exception to that. And I've got a lot of people to be grateful for the time and energy that they've invested in me becoming the coach that I am now. And it started back as a high school football coach here in this state, really even before then, playing football in this state. Some of the guys that y'all heard me talk about probably in my interview here, but a lot of people to be thankful for there. And then a lot of people that I coached for early in my career that really set the tone for me and how to do this, and in terms of how you treat people, the people that you work with, the people you work for, and certainly most importantly, the players that you coach. And I feel blessed that I still have relationships with people from all along that route.
How excited are you to get back to your home state?
Man, really, really excited. I mean, so I lived somewhere in Texas until I was 30, and really kind of thought I would be here, for most of my life. And then, kind of went into the coaching route. And once I decided, okay, I want to go do the college thing, I talked to my wife about it. She's from Texas too. And she said, okay, well, I'd be cool with any of these states. So she starts naming off the states that she would be good with: Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, New Mexico. All those states touch Texas, okay? Yeah. And so then my first big-time coaching job, my first Division I coaching opportunity, came at Boise State in 2000, working for Dirk Cutter. And so this was before internet and having maps on your phones or anything like that. And so I pulled out one of those old maps. We had one of those where it had a big map that had a different page for every state. Pulled out the state of Idaho, and she looked at it and she goes, "Oh my gosh, Idaho borders Canada." And I said, "Yeah, no, let's get packed up. We're leaving soon." So off we went, and all over the place since then. But yeah, to be back in Texas is a special thing for me, my family, my wife's family, and a lot of friends and coaches that I've known. Even when I've been at various places in the United States coaching college football, I still recruited this state most of those years, and so I have a lot of really close connections with high school coaches. And so, yeah, it's more than a cool thing. It's a special thing to me to be back here. We tracked down your coach at Lakeview Centennial, Coach Jack Catlett, and he talked about how one day after practice, or many times after practice, he worked with you. And that at times, because your body was 6'5" at the time, and you had to kind of grow into that with the coordination, and that he spent time with you. You mentioned how much that meant to you, how much Frank Beamer working special teams with little index cards about the scouting report or whatever, how much that meant to you. I also had somebody on staff tell me today that you're tough and demanding, but treats people the right way. And isn't that what you learned from Andy Reid as well? Lots of people, for sure. Yeah, and the thing about Coach Reid, and I've been blessed to still call him a mentor and someone that is kind enough to stay in touch with me. We stole a play from them this year, and it was kind of a special play, something that you would just run once, maybe twice in a season. And it was exactly a play that they ran to Travis Kelce. And so somebody right after the game put a little thing on social media with a copy of their play and then ours right after it. And so I texted him and said, I was on the plane. We were just about to take off. And I said, I guess I should have asked for permission first. And he texted me right back and said, no, I'm just glad it worked for you. But he was a great coach. And I think the thing that was really special about him is he could ride you hard and was incredibly demanding, had really high expectations. But he could do it in a way that just made me want to do better, and I had some coaches where that wasn't always the case. It made me have ill feelings towards them maybe, but certainly not the case with him. And, just wanted to please him in the way that I wanted to please my dad. And so I hope I can have that same sort of impact on guys. Jeff Grimes, Baylor offensive coordinator, with us on SicEm365 Radio. Paul?
Jeff, obviously you've got you got your work cut out for you. This offense last year struggled to kind of find an identity, and a lot of that could have been chalked up to the fact that they didn't have an off season. Knowing that things will probably be different, and you might have stuff to combine it with last year and this year a little bit as far as procedures. How do you kind of attack 2021 and getting to know this offense before you even know what spring's going to be?
Yeah, I think. What I'll do is just assume the best. And that's one of the things that I've always tried to do is have a positive outlook on the way things are going, and then the way you hope that they would go, and then you adopt to whatever is placed in front of you. So certainly that's what we did last year at BYU. We had to adapt. We had not an entire schedule, but almost our entire schedule canceled and had to start over. And I think as good coaches, that's part of our job. We have to be able to adapt and overcome to the challenges that are placed in front of us. But, I think right now we're spending some time really getting caught up on recruiting and finding which guys that I and the rest of our staff really like and want to try to really get to know. And then next week we'll have the players back here on campus. And, the biggest thing is I think just beginning to get to know them and establish a trust. And I've certainly done that with a few guys who have been in town, and then, by phone with everybody that I can be in touch with. But really just establishing trust. And, one thing that I've noticed with these guys is that they're eager. They're anxious to learn a new system, and they're excited to get started. And I think a lot like the BYU team that I joined 3 years ago, coming off of a tough year offensively, really, I really got the sense that they wanted to be good. And I sort of get that same feeling in talking with our players right now. And so I'm excited about getting started with them.
So that you kind of answered my question a little bit there as far as what you're up to right now, but with, getting the ball going, hitting the ground running, what does that kind of mean for you as you slide into a new role?
Well, the first thing would be just getting all the coaches on the same page as me in terms of what our culture is going to be on offense, and basically teaching them the system, making sure that we're all on the same page, and then that'll move on to the players. And so we'll really begin that next week. Like I said, right now, most of what we've done this week is really focused on recruiting. Next week, we'll spend a lot of time going through the playbook, working our way through that with the staff, and then begin teaching it to the players. But, it starts with having the right mindset. And if we have the right mindset and the right culture, then the plays and the offense will take care of themselves.
There are 4 quarterbacks in that room that you will be dealing with. And, of course, obviously, as the offensive coordinator, one of them arriving on campus very soon. But you obviously you mentioned that you looked and saw what was going on within that quarterback room. Are those 4, is that what you're going to start with, or do you feel like you still might add somebody else to that room? And what do you see when you look at those 4?
I think there's natural talent there that needs to be developed, just like there is at every position. And we have enough talent to win, but we're always looking to upgrade. And so with, the nature of the transfer game that we're in college football right now, I think you're foolish if you're not always having one eye open at least and keeping your mind open to upgrading your squad with a great player at any position. And so I would say it would not be outside the realm of possibility for us to add one there or at any position.
Jeff Grimes, Baylor offensive coordinator, with us on Sic'em365 Radio. When it comes to the staff, and that's now set, there are some that remained on staff on the offensive side of the football, including Sean Bell, who's been an offensive line coach, a tight ends coach, and now he's the guy who's handling the quarterbacks. How much of an influence did you have with Coach Aranda on who stayed or who came?
We had a lot of really good talks about it, and once it kind of felt like we were both moving towards doing this, that was certainly the next topic at hand. And Sean was an integral part of this decision for me and finding a way to make it work. And so what Dave said is, I want you and Sean to get on the phone and spend some time together. And so we did. We did a FaceTime call and talked about everything from our families and backgrounds and just getting to know each other. And I knew his dad because I've been to his dad's high school when I was recruiting. I can't remember when, too many years, but I came through China Spring and got to know his dad a little bit in recruiting a number of years ago. but we just caught up first and then spent some time really talking football, talking offensive philosophy, talking about the details of quarterback play, drills, mechanics, reads and progressions with various passing concepts. And I just had a real comfort level with with who he was as a person. There was an instant connection with us there. And then secondly, his overall knowledge of the game and offensive philosophy really was something I felt good about and felt like that would mesh well with what I wanted to bring in. And then lastly, was impressed with his knowledge of quarterback play. And obviously, he hasn't done that here, but he's coached quarterbacks at the high school level a great deal, and he's an incredibly sharp guy, as y'all know. And he's going to do a tremendous job with our quarterbacks. And I felt great about it, but it was a big part of my decision coming here with me. Not necessarily being a quarterback guy, finding the right piece there was going to be something really important for me. And, you know, a lot of coordinators are quarterback coaches, but I think sometimes, you know, there's no question that that's the most important position on offense. I think everyone recognizes that. If that guy can play, then all the other things certainly have a chance to take care of themselves. But, you know, if you're not the quarterback coach as the coordinator, I think it gives you an advantage in a way because it allows that guy to really invest all of his time and energy into that position and those guys and really have a chance to get them playing at a high level. I feel very confident that's going to happen.
Well, Phil Bennett told us that the best offensive coordinators are offensive line guys. So clearly, you know, that's where you fit in right there as an offensive line guy because you see more as an offensive lineman. You have to see you have to know what everybody's doing.
Well, you know what? That reminds me. I haven't put the check in the mail to Phil yet, so I need to make sure I get that done.
You're writing a lot of them.
Yeah. You know, I think coordinators come from all positions, and I think it starts with a guy who can see the big picture. You know, and even for all the years that I was coaching the offensive line, I tried to see the big picture and tried to understand the passing game and understand coverage and recognize situational football, and all of those things always mattered to me. And so I think whether you're an offensive line coach or a receiver coach or a running back coach, if you're a quality coach and you can see the big picture and you have leadership skills, then you can be a good coordinator.
I'm sure you've heard multiple times by now that the offensive line was an issue for Baylor last season. I know you'd be calling plays and doing all of that, but bringing in Coach Mateos and just where do you start with an offensive line, not just Baylor's as we're talking about specifically, but, you know, beginning that process and grooming them, how does that begin?
Well, for the offensive line, for any position, but particularly for the offensive line, it starts with building the right mindset. If those guys are tough and physical and have the right mindset, then everybody else will be. It's kind of like, you know, I tell them all the time, you guys are the tip of the spear. You're the big brothers. You know, I was telling somebody the story the other day. I got a big dog and a little dog, and behind our house there's a couple of German shepherds, and my little dog will run about halfway to the edge of the fence, and then she stops and she'll kind of start yapping right there. But when the big dog comes out, then she'll run all the way right up to the fence, and she's a whole lot braver then. And it's kind of like that with everybody on offense. I think if those guys are the big dogs, if they operate in a way that provides confidence and aggression and toughness, then the rest of the team will fall right in line. And so they have to do that in order for the quarterback or running back or any position to have success. So honestly, I put more pressure on them than I do any other position on the team. And I know there's work to do there, just like there is anywhere, but Coach Mateos and I promise you're up for the challenge.
Do you remember when you were at Lakeview Centennial when Coach Catlett asked you to double team block as a guard against Rockwall, and that how you handled that and how you did not give up and you did not say, I can't do it? Do you remember that far back?
No, you know what? Well, I do remember, as I said in that other interview, I remember working with him after practice. I remember him being the first coach that I can remember caring enough to say, hey, Grimes, stay here and let's work on this a little bit more. I don't remember the exact team or
right.
play or any of those specific things. He at an age that's much beyond mine, he has a better memory than I do, I think. But I love the guy, and I was messaging back and forth with him today, and just really grateful for the example that he gave me at an early age, and really the confidence that he gave me, because I was not a great player early on, and it took me a little while, like it does a lot of big guys, to try to allow my coordination to catch up with the rest of me.
Well, I'm short and uncoordinated, so it happens to all of us, Jeff.
Well, and for some of us, it never catches up.
Yeah. I'm raising my hand here. The coach that brought you into college, Armstrong. Do you have this with Bob Stoll? The audio with Bob Stoll. Hold on, this is very short. We had him on. He was another one. I mean, we went around. It's like, this is your life. Whenever that time comes, we've already done that for you until we had a chance to visit with you. But this is a short little clip from former UTEP head coach Bob Stoll.
Big Jeff, hey, congratulations. That's a great opportunity for you. I know you do extremely well. Say hello to Matt Rhodes for me, and I hope things clear up a little bit, come out and see one of your games. So again, congrats, good luck. Talk to you later, bye.
There's a lot of people that we've talked to about you, so we've done our due diligence. We weren't even the ones hiring you, but we still, of course, that's the way we could cover the hiring of you. But it's crazy, the names that have been, as you mentioned. I'm not trying to go all the way back to them, but we had Frank Beamer yesterday and so many others that you have had in this ladder to climb to where you are today. Do you sometimes look off and go, my gosh, I've been affected by a lot of people, and some big names, Hall of Fame names, Ken Hatfield as well, R.C. Slocum, among others?
Yeah, I do. And like I said, I've been in touch with those guys here recently, but I think in coaching, most of us are so inundated with the task at hand that we often don't think about that, and we probably take it for granted. I do, until a moment like this arises and you have opportunity to really look back and reflect on the guys who have had that sort of impact on you. And I am incredibly grateful, and I have been blessed to have been around a lot of great coaches and a lot of great people that have really helped me become who I am. And I think if we're smart enough to listen and pay attention and try to apply some of those things, then we have an opportunity to be better men for it.
Coach, we've only gotten to know Dave Aranda just a little bit, and obviously with the circumstances being what they are, we haven't really been able to be around him. It's mostly been, those Zoom type of meetings. But heading into his second year now, obviously has made some changes. Just what was your impression in talking to Coach Aranda, getting his philosophy on the program and what he's planning and what he's doing and all of that?
So a couple of things. First, Dave and I worked together at LSU, and on opposite sides of the ball, often you operate like almost like different organizations. Sometimes when you're on offense and another guy's on defense, it's like maybe in a big corporation, one guy works in advertising and the other guy's in accounting, and they're on different floors in the building, and they see each other when they pass through the cafeteria or when they go out in the staff parking lot or something like that. But they really don't have a lot of interaction. And I think there was some of that there. And he and I were, when we worked together, we would bounce ideas off of each other. Like I would say, well, what about this play? And what do you think about this? Or he would call me in and say, hey, Grammy, what do you think about this blitz versus 5-man protection? And we would talk through ways that people might try to defeat it. But I really didn't get to know him that well on a personal level. And so I think the thing that I've been most impressed with since, and really it started as we began talking about this job before I even took the job, was just the type of head coach that he is. And I think how much he really is, maybe has always worked in the back of his mind to develop that part of what he would do when he walked into that position. But his identity as a head coach and the type of culture that he's building within the program here has been really impressive to me. And I told him the other day, we had an all-staff meeting, and he spent some time really talking about what our culture should be like and what it should feel like to be a part of Baylor football and what different facets of the program should be all about. And I said, I've been around a lot of coaches, but not very many, only a couple that have really defined the culture that well. And so I guess the biggest thing is just how impressed I've been with that part of him and how he's handling the transition to be a head coach and how I'm sure he's growing in that role. And I'm the benefactor of being able to walk in to his second year as a head coach, and we all grow and develop in various roles. But I've been really, really impressed, and I'm excited about working with him to try and build that culture to what we all know it can and should be.
I know you got to go here in a minute. We appreciate your time today, Coach. We really do. Part of your terminology for your offense, the word violent is used. And the offensive linemen, you talked about being the guys that they have to kind of lead the way. How then important, and who is more connected to a strength and conditioning coach, a head coach or an offensive line coach?
I guess it depends on the situation. Some head coaches are really involved with it. Some are not, especially if they've been around for a while, been around the strength coach for a while. They just kind of let the weight guy do his thing. And in that case, when I've been the O-line coach, I've been really involved with it. When I was at BYU, being the offensive coordinator, was actually more involved in it probably than I was when I was a line coach, just because now I'm in charge of half the team. And so what they're doing in terms of their strength and weight, body weight goals and all of that sort of thing, body comp, those things all became more important to me. So I think ultimately the head coach is more connected to everyone within the program, or at least should be. And I know that Coach Randall certainly will be.
Your tight ends caught 171 passes at Brigham Young the last 3 years. There's a couple of pretty good ones coming back. I know that you're trying to work on that position as well. How important is that position in your offense?
Well, I would love to play with a lot of tight ends, but I believe one thing that you should try to do, and it's not the case with everybody. Some offensive coordinators come in and say, "This is my offense. This is what we're going to run." One of the things that I try to do at BYU and we'll do here is build a system that is versatile and flexible enough that we can play the best players. And so if our best players only allow for one tight end to be on the field, then great. If it allows for two tight ends or three tight ends to be on the field, then even better. It allows us to attack the defense in, I think, a greater variety of ways. If you have tight ends who have multiple skill sets, then you can play with 12 personnel, meaning one running back, two tight ends on the field at the same time, and line up in probably more ways than most people can. If you have the kind of tight ends who can line up attached to the core, next to an offensive tackle, and add an extra gap to the run game or in protection, or you can split those guys out and try to create a mismatch in the passing game and see who's going to cover them. That's a lot of fun for me. And so I love playing with multiple tight ends on the field, and something that we had a lot of success with at BYU, and would certainly love to do the same thing here. But if our best personnel group allows for us to have 11 personnel on the field, maybe just one tight end at a time, and have more receivers out there, then we can do that too. But I really like to be multiple in personnel groupings and multiple in formations. And so if we can do that with tight ends, then I think that'd be awesome. Last
question. They didn't have spring drills last year. The first-year head coach, how critical, although we don't know what the future holds, is a spring drill with you coming in now as well, getting to know this team and them getting to know you and the quarterbacks along with everybody else on the offensive side of the ball?
I think it's of great importance, certainly more for a team that's installing a new offense than a team that's not. And so if that ends up not being the case, then we'll adapt and we'll move forward. And it probably will affect exactly what we're able to do in the fall, particularly how much we can install and how much we can install early. But I promise you we'll find a way to make it work, put some points on the board no matter what we're given.
Jeff, thank you very much, Coach. Appreciate it. Welcome to Waco and also to Baylor. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it. Hope to see you soon.
Hey, enjoyed it, guys. Glad to talk with you anytime.
Baylor offensive coordinator Jeff Grimes with us on SicEm365 Radio, and tried to cover as many possible parts that we wanted to know about, perhaps then also you wanted to know about, and position groups, philosophy, and try to also get something a little bit different that perhaps you have not heard as well with Paul Craig, David Smoak, Armstrong, and Jack McKenzie as well. So I know we got to get to the top 5, and we will. Your thoughts about what you heard from Jeff Grimes?
All good. I mean, everything I expected. I mean, it kind of, we spent this week kind of getting ready for this and talking to people, and yeah, it didn't stray from what I thought it would be.
Yeah, I mean, he said all the right things. I mean, I look forward to him actually getting his, hands on these players and seeing, do they have enough tight ends to be multiple with that position on the field. As he said, he likes having multiple personnel packages and things like that. So whether the tight ends can be that group that is part of that or not, we'll see. But clearly he likes using that position. So that's something that's going to be a little bit different than maybe what we've been accustomed to seeing. And, the comment about the transfer quarterback potentially, or just a transfer anywhere, I think will certainly get some people's eyebrows raised a little bit, because probably thought that the dust had settled with Charlie transferring, that, it's just going to be these 4 guys. But, hey, with the transfer market being what it is, if you can go get a kid who's already played a ton and who knows the system and knows what he's doing, then, if that's going to make you better, you got to get better,
You
right?
also don't know, of the 4, maybe one of them doesn't fit anymore.
He said we're always looking to upgrade. We're always looking to, find a way to upgrade. That doesn't mean that who you bring in will be better than who you have, but it's all about pushing competition, which I think is obviously very fresh as well. Refreshing, as well. All right, Paul, your top 5.
Yeah, the top 5 at 5:55, which is a little bit late today, but well worth it for Jeff Grimes. Houston sports problems, which is very apropos, and I did this without knowing that James Harden was going to get traded today. Armstrong, let me see the graphic so I can remember what I put up there.
We got.
You got problems? Okay, there we go.
We got. They're all on the bottom today.
All right, number 1, James Harden. Now it's it's sad things for the people in Houston, but it never worked out. I know he got him to a conference finals, but it never worked out, guys.
Oh, we have the lower bar.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, Jack cooked something up today.
Jack thank you. Okay.
Yeah,
all
okay.
Right.
And number 2.
Oh, sorry, here we go.
Jack Easterby.
Oh, boy.
Public enemy number 1 in Houston now that James Harden is gone.
They're wanting to impeach him in Houston.
He's ruining the Texans. He's from the inside out. He was
Andre Johnson roasted him.
He was the team preacher.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden he's making personnel decisions. Number 3, Jim Crane still owns the Astros. Your team got cheating. Are you the a-hole? No, you are, for asking me about it. That's Jim Crane.
Wow.
That's his deal.
Did you sleep well last night? I mean, you're a little grumpy today.
No, I'm not grumpy at all.
Right,
but that's
number
Jim
3.
Crane. Number 3. Number 4, Dana Holgerson.
Yeah.
Dana Holgerson. COVID denier, I think, at the beginning of the year, that found out it wasn't.
Oh, he was pretty arrogant about it too, wasn't he?
Yeah. So
all of a sudden they had to live with it themselves, like everybody will.
Exactly. That the circle comes around all the time. At number 5, George Springer is probably leaving, and that's not good either.
That might be at the the Deshaun Watson, I guess, is a part of all the other stuff.
We'll
you
see
mentioned.
what happens with Jack Easterby.
Jack, look at you.
Yeah,
Jack Araya, look at the thing. Holgerson, Crane, Harden, Easterby, and Springer. Okay.
Yeah, so there you go.
All right. Craig, your thoughts, anything else on Jeff Grimes? Well, of course, you're going to write the summary tonight.
No, not.
We'll have that up. Armstrong will get that up soon. That'll be on the premium or in the premium section and elsewhere. All right. Thanks to a lot of people, again, with Armstrong, Sims, Jack McKenzie as well. Freddie Gillespie of the Memphis Hustle, Gary Joseph and Katie. Craig Way, UT, voice of UT, John Machota, and Baylor offensive coordinator Jeff Grimes. For Craig Smoak and Paul Catalina, tomorrow we're loading up again for even more for you. Thank you for listening whenever you do, however long it might be. And good night. I'm David Smoak on SicEm365 Radio and TV.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.